I'm doing it, bitch. Hello, everyone. I am Zazubaar, a.k.a. Bill Worster, and welcome back to the Sons of Serizawa podcast. I know, it's been a while. I'm sure you all have questions. Very few of them will be answered, and I apologize for that. But,
what's this Son of Sarasota thing you speak of?
So...
Was this, I hear, the youth of Yongary?
The myth, what was it, the nieces of fucking, what's the name of the scientist in Gamera Guardian of the Universe? Remember when fucking Jose Garcia did the parody of SOS? And he made our title card, but it was, the nieces or nephews of Nagamine, I think it was. Remember that?
No, that's awesome.
You don't remember
Are you thinking about the right movie, Bill?
The emissaries of Emiko?
Oh, god damn it, you're coming up with good ones. So yes, we are back, everybody. We are back from our roughly 2-month hiatus. It's been around that. The last time we recorded was on the 4th of July. Things are different now. We won't get into sort of the reasons of why and how things are different now. And the reasons for that are just kind of, well, A, they're personal, and B, they don't really have a bearing on, and I've talked about this in the other videos before, so we're not going to harp on this for too long. We'll jump right into the meat of the thing. But the reasons why things are different now and why the roster is different now, since that's the thing that, of course, you'll all have noticed, is that it's all personal stuff. It has no bearing on stuff that we've done on here in the past and on the podcast. So we're not really going to get into it, and that's basically all I'm going to say about it. So things are different now. And we decided to use the different things that happened over the summer to kind of rework the podcast a little bit. So, we're using this as an excuse to sort of do a soft reboot. Kind of like, as you guys mentioned earlier, in the style of your Terminator Genesis or your Star Trek 09s or your Godzilla 84s or, I don't know, your
Transformers 4.
Your Transformers, yeah. Or that
guess
Bewitched spinoff, which like aged all the characters up.
I guess technically the time travel shit in 91 kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a little bit of a different animal now. Now that things are different, and we've used that excuse to kind of change things up. If you want to,
it was a walrus, but now it's a chihuahua.
Yeah, exactly. So, I went into some of the differences in the last update video that I did, but we'll get into more of the specific things in terms of structure and all the different little ins and outs as we go through this week's episode. But before we do that, I should probably introduce my co-host. So, returning with me for this brand new series of the Sons of Serizawa podcast, I have David Joshua Hernandez, a.k.a. Gorzard. David, say hi to the good people.
Greetings, Munchkin.
And of course, he had to be fucking creepy. David, we're trying to bring in a new audience here, bro. And you're fucking whispering creepy shit in their ear. What the fuck is that?
That's alright.
Don't scare away the little people.
Yeah, I know, we need the little people. The little people
that's why we have
make us bigger. We can step on their shoulders, not soldiers. Although we can do that too. Don't believe we haven't
We
tried.
can annihilate the soldiers. First the soldiers, then the world.
Then their shoulders.
Now I just feel like the four of us taking on an army of midgets.
I wonder if we could do it. Maybe we should make a bet about if we could take a whole army of midgets, and then I'll have to review a gay movie in order to... No, we're not doing it. We've done that. It's done poorly, so I'm not going to do it again. So, also joining me, I have Dylan McCandless, a.k.a. Super DM64.
Hi, everybody.
Nice and fucking upbeat. Thanks, bro. And also joining me, I have Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir, who I always know is ready with some fucking oomph. So, Andres, give me some oomph!
Hello, people of the internet!
There we go. That made my blood boil. That got in my ear and just fucking rang through my whole head. So thank you for that, Andres. I appreciate it.
Sounds really painful the way you described that.
It was. So, yeah, we're back, boys. It's fucking weird, right?
Has it really been has it been a whole, like, was the last episode from the 4th of July?
Yeah, that's the last one we did. That was episode 42.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we did a whole bunch of, like, the G-Fest stuff, but really, has it been that long since the last official episode of SOS?
It has been that long since the last official episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it's a little weird.
Do we went through another time warp like we did after we recorded our Let's Play?
Yeah, I guess we did. No, it feels it's weird. It feels longer, but it also feels like it went by like really fast. I don't know. Like it feels like the 4th of July was like years ago, but it also feels like it was like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I'm in that sort of weird place with time right now where it's like the summer felt like it was a long time ago, but it also felt like it was a week ago. Because, I don't know, just that weird sort of gap in time. So, things are a little different now on this here little podcast. Of course, the roster, you've noticed. But the other big thing, and I don't know how much I got into this on the update video that I did, but the two major things that are different now with this show. Number one, and this I definitely got into in detail, so we'll leave that sort of, go back and watch that video if you want more details on this, but we're doing the show in seasons now. So, we're going to be doing the show in a block of a certain amount of episodes at certain times a year. So we're going to basically do a fall and winter season and like a late winter, spring, summer season. And they're going to be different episode lengths, but I think in terms of like how many episodes constitute each season, but they should roughly make up like about, I don't know, they should both roughly make up about a year's worth of content, considering that we do the show every 2 weeks.
Would it be easier instead of considering each break as a different season, if like to instead consider it as like a mid-season break?
Well, Dylan, I fucking already planned out now that we were doing this as 2 seasons per year. I guess you could kind of consider. Well, I think the way I work it out in my head is sort of like each season makes up a year. So it's like SOS season 3 and 4 makes up year 3, and then SOS seasons 5 and 6 make up year 4. So that's kind of how I'm imagining it in my head, especially since seasonally sort of refers to the fact of, like, they're going to come with the seasons. Since we're taking our breaks for the summer and for the winter when we sort of have breaks off from school. Or at least that's the way I planned it out when I planned out the schedule. But if you want to go back and listen to that update video that I did, all the details on all the dates and everything are in there. And I don't think I pulled up... Oh, yes, I do. I do have the schedule here. So let me just say that quick, and then we'll dive right in, because we have sort of a limited window of time tonight, so I'll make this as quick as possible. So Season 1 for this year, and this is going to change depending on the year, of course, because the dates are going to change and the days are going to change. But this year, Season 1 of SOS, the reboot, kind of, sort of, not really, it's basically just the same shit we always did, but a little bit different, is September 26th is today, the day we're recording this. Of course, that's not the day it's going to go up. I don't know when it's going to go up yet, but because I'm waiting on a few things to sort of come to fruition. But it should be soon after that. It's going from the end of September to the end of December. The last episode of this season will be our New Year's special. Figured that was fitting. I figured that would be a nice little way to end it. So that'll be the end of Season 1. So that's December 31st, roughly. And then we come back in February, where the next time we record is February 6th. And the day we end is July 23rd. So roughly around G-Fest time is when we'll end Season 2. So yeah, that's the rough sort of estimation for the year's worth of podcasts. So with all that said, let's just move right on into the meat of the thing. And the second difference with this brand new, not really sort of kind of reboot, is that we have a structure now, boys. We have a regimented series of things that we will hit every episode, roughly, that we can talk about and sort of, well, not talk about, but talk within and sort of give ourselves a backbone to lean against as we move off into the future of podcasting. So, instead of being all boring and just fucking dryly going through, oh, here's the new structure, I figured we just fucking dive right in and just show the good people what the new podcast is going to be like. So, with that said, let's go into our first segment, which is, of course, shit you may or may not care about, with Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the big monster movie-related news first, or we want to save that for last?
Why don't you just take us on a little trip however you feel, man. Just drive us there. Just take us however you feel is right.
Okay, I'll save the best for last in that case. So the first news I want to bring up happened fairly recently, where apparently Prometheus 2 by director Ridley Scott, who, as many of you know, is the guy behind the original Alien film. He came out with Prometheus a couple years ago. It was it was kind of pretty much a letdown.
A lot of people didn't like it.
A lot of people didn't like it. Yeah, it was pretty much a letdown. And apparently Prometheus 2 is still happening, only now we have the official title for Prometheus 2, which is actually called Alien Paradise Lost. And
yeah, I know. I know you're all disappointed that it's not called Prometheus 2, Facehugger Boogaloo, but you know what? Ridley Scott made his decision. We can't hate him for it. It's his movie. He can do what he wants. So yeah.
Apparently, according to the news, it's like he's trying to have it. I guess the movie itself of Alien Paradise Lost is going to focus on the origins of the xenomorph. Like, how do we get from that one creature at the end of Prometheus, and how does that lead to the creation of the classic xenomorph that we all know and love? And I guess he's trying to also have the movie make connections with the events of the first Alien movie with Ripley in it. So
basically everything he said he was going to do with the original Prometheus, he's going to do with this one.
My thought, yeah, I was about to say that too. And it's really interesting because with Prometheus, he kind of wanted that series to go off in its own direction and just have it be its own side story within the Aliens universe. Of course, now, everyone did not like that direction. No one gave us a shit about it. So he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll connect it with Aliens then and put Alien in the fucking title now.
Yeah, okay, so my first question, number one, after all the shit we already said where it's like, oh, you said that this was going to be an original science fiction property and that you were going to let it go off and do its own thing. My initial question is, does this mean that Neil Blomkamp's Alien movie is now canceled? Because this is an Alien movie?
I'm not sure, because this is pretty much an Alien Origins movie. So right. I have no idea what Neil Blomkamp's movie, Alien movie, was going to be. I mean, he put out that concept art that featured Ripley in like having some role in the film. So
she's wearing like some weird xenomorph armor type of deal.
Right. So I'm not,
because apparently the whole idea with his script, or I don't even know if he got to a script, but with his concept for the movie, was that it was basically going to be a direct sequel to Aliens and just focus on Weyland-Yutani actually making weapons out of the aliens. So basically, it's what Jurassic World 2 is going to be, supposedly.
So maybe he could still maybe Neil Blomkamp is still going to do that, since it's narrative. It's like it takes place in two very different periods of time within the Aliens timeline.
Also, this movie, Alien Paradise Lost, a.k.a. Prometheus 2, has a way more upscaled schedule because it's been in production for a long time. Like, that new Alien movie just got announced not even a year ago. So I'm sure that didn't even get... I don't even know if that got greenlit yet, or if a script was greenlit. So I imagine what they'll do is just sort of put that project on hold and let Ridley Scott do his thing and hope that he doesn't fuck it up too bad this time. And bear in mind, if you go back on my channel, you'll find a review of Prometheus where I was very, very positive on it. I haven't seen it since, so I can't really give my sort of modern, updated opinion on it because I haven't seen it since then, and it's sort of hard to sift through all of the crap that I've heard people say about it since then and sort of find my real thoughts on the movie. But how about you boys? What are your sort of current thoughts on Prometheus, if you have any sort of an opinion at all?
I remember during my I talked a little bit about Prometheus. It was 2012, I believe, because I remember I covered it in my yeah, thank you. It was I covered it a little bit at the beginning of my best and worst of 2012, or my top 5 films of 2012 video I did way back when. And pretty much my thought, from what I can remember...
It was before you were on SOS, so it doesn't matter. No kidding.
True, yeah, of course. Then none of that is in continuity.
Exactly. That's all in retcon now.
So,
I'm picking out your personal history that's in continuity now,
in the pre-52 history of the New 52...
Pre-52.
I remember overall thinking, I'm like, it was okay. I mean, it's basically... It felt like a generic... it's kind of like a very watered-down, generic rip-off of the first Alien movie that just so happens to have been directed by the guy behind the first Alien movie, with a few interesting ideas and concepts that weren't really all that they weren't really met to its full potential, especially with many characters acting either completely stupid or are acting without any real motivation behind their actions.
Right. Dylan and David, you guys have any thoughts you want to throw in about the original Prometheus?
I mean, what a case of having so much potential with an idea, and then not quite meeting that potential. Did
Did you enjoy it at the time?
I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't enjoy it. I don't even think my opinion on it is that strong. It's just that...
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
It's just sort of in that middle ground for me. Like, I didn't hate it. It's kind of like Man of Steel. I don't hate it like a lot of people do. But,
yeah, it is sort of like Man of Steel, isn't it?
There's some major problems.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do kind of think of it as a Man of Steel thing, where it's like whenever somebody craps on Man of Steel now, I'm like, yeah. I never really disagree. But I will always be like, yeah, but I still enjoy Man of Steel. But I've also seen Man of Steel like 4 or 5 times. I've only seen Prometheus the one time in theaters, even though I own it on Blu-ray. But
my problem with this idea for the sequel, though, is, and
kind of a weird title, isn't it?
Well, I get that. You know, I get the idea behind that. My problem is I don't think the alien as a creature is something that necessarily needs an origin told. Like,
no, they don't.
Like, if you ask me what the ideal origin is for the alien, it's just fucking evolution. It's just the perfectly evolved killing machine. Like, that's all it should be. Like,
well, I think that's the problem. Well, not the problem. I think that's that's sort of the issue that crops up when you're sort of thinking about where these creatures could have come from. Is that they sort of seem to have been used as weapons in the original, because they're all, well, not as weapons, but they're being used by this civilization for some purpose prior to the events of Alien. So I was always definitely interested to find out what that purpose was. I did videos back in, like, God, now, like 2008 or 7. It had to be 2008. They've been taken down because they're terrible. But, well, also copyright shit. But I did a couple videos where it was like the secret, I forgot the title, it was like the secret origin / connection between the alien and the Predator. Probably nobody listening remembers these videos because I took them down years ago. But basically my whole idea was sort of like that ship and those creatures were predators, and that they were being used as they've always been used by the Predators in the extended AVP mythos, where they're used as you know, prey and everything. And I got so much shit for that. Everybody fucking hated me. It was like, those videos had so many dislikes, but they had a lot of views too, so that's why I left them up. I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot of views. So, yeah, I've always definitely wondered that. But, so, the idea of them being genetically engineered has always been fine with me. It's just, the original Prometheus doesn't really offer an explanation for where they come from. And if it does, it's not interesting enough for to be remembered or thought about.
Yeah, I was very disappointed to learn that, like, humans had a hand in accidentally creating the aliens, according to, you know, the events of Prometheus. And I was really disappointed about that, because I thought that the aliens themselves were, like, purely made on purpose by, aliens.
And it doesn't really make sense, because how much span of time is there between Prometheus and the events of the first Alien? Like, does anybody know? Like,
no, nobody has. Well, do they give a year? Because they don't give a year in the original Alien. They don't. I don't think they give a year in Prometheus.
I mean, based on the technology, there can't be that big of a gap in time in between the events of Prometheus and the events of the original Alien.
Well, there's got to be a little bit, though.
So, given this new origin or whatever, the aliens are a relatively young species when the first Alien movie comes about, and I'm not sure if I'm wild about that.
And of course, it makes any sort of like expanded universe alien fiction where aliens are depicted in modern times completely non-canon.
Well, yeah,
or anything where aliens have ever been shown to have existed for a long period of time.
Yeah, wasn't there a story where the aliens were in, like, the Wild West?
Because, like, if you watch the first movie without any context, there's no telling how long they could have been there on that ship, because the fucking...
They look fossilized, honestly. Like, you could say that they were there for millions of years, and I would have been like, yep, that makes sense. The fucking
pilot of the ship is, like, mummified, so, I mean, they could have been there for fucking thousands of years by the look of it.
Yeah, they probably, when they originally wrote that script, that was probably the idea that they had been there for that long. Because that makes it way more sort of creepy, that like, these are creatures outside of time, and that it's sort of an old horror that's being reintroduced to this universe. So I'm sure that was the original idea, and he just fucked it up because he couldn't decide if he wanted to make an original movie or a prequel to Alien.
Well, I guess wasn't like Prometheus, the original idea for Prometheus was that it was going to be focusing on the space jockey the mummified remains of that alien that we saw. But then I guess he decided to change directions with the film.
I can't be sure what his original idea
remember
was.
you remember that alien from Alien? Not the alien, but the other alien.
The other one.
We're gonna make a movie about that guy.
And then Hollywood was like, wait a minute, you want to have a movie with completely unrecognizable aliens instead of recognizable stars? Are you high?
And he's like, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, look, my heyday was in the 70s, so you tell me.
Hey man, I brought on H.R. Geiger to do I hired a man to put a dick on my alien monster's head.
Listen, man, the original Alien is rape social commentary, so you can't predict what I'm gonna do. Ridley Scott's totally a stoner though, right? Like, he's gotta be.
Like, I can't top myself anymore because I made Blade Runner, so my career's already peaked. So now I'm just like, who gives a fuck, you know?
Now
I'm just making movies where I'm casting white people as Egyptians.
No, I'm just
yeah.
I'm just like, hey, Russell Crowe, fucking be a gladiator. Like that's me
He's
now.
like, that's how he pitched fucking Gladiator to both the studio and Russell Crowe. He was like, Russell Crowe, you're a gladiator now. He's like, all right.
Russell Crowe's like, yeah,
Basically,
right. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be.
Will there be beer on set?
I like to imagine that he called Russell into his office and he just gave him the pitch from Airplane, where he was like, Russell, do you like movies about gladiators?
He's like, well, yeah, I love to beat the shit out of people constantly, so yeah. You guys know that, right? That Russell Crowe's like an infamous fucking bar fighter. He's just constantly...
Well, I've seen that episode of South Park.
Right.
That episode of South
Park. Singing songs and fighting around the world.
Damn it, your Australian accent's better than mine, Andres. Christ. One day I'm gonna find an impression that I'm better than
with this day, we're gonna be fighting cancer. Well, you cancer, I'm gonna fight you. We found a cancer patient, so we're gonna beat the cancer out of him.
David, do you have any?
These kids, they got the MS and they're crying out for help. So I beat the first shit out of them.
David, do you have any?
They don't feel anything.
David, do you have an opinion about Prometheus?
I didn't like the first movie. I'm less excited about Prometheus 2, or Paradise Lost as it's going to be called now. I'm more excited for Blomkamp's Alien 5.
Well, if that's even going to be a thing now.
Well, have they confirmed that one's on hold or something?
No, they haven't said anything.
This isn't a Pacific Rim situation where they actually made an announcement of that about that.
Oh, I can't wait till we fucking get to that shit.
Yeah.
'Cause I got tons of shit to say. But we'll get to that later. I don't know. It has to be though, right? It has to be. They're not going to come out at the same time. Although, now that I'm thinking about it...
Wait, well, hold on. Remember, like, nowadays, franchises and expanded universes are sort of like the thing to do now. I mean, we're having like a Marvel movie every year. We're going to have a Star Wars movie every year. Universal wants to do their Universal Monster movie universe. And
yeah, they're doing a great job with that, aren't they?
And probably they want to make a shit ton of alien
Where's that Mummy movie?
But, go ahead.
Well, it's also with Alien, though, and Aliens, and that's exactly it. You kind of got two franchises in one with that. Because you can sell a movie just called Alien or Aliens, and they're technically the same franchise, but people will go for either, and they'll expect different things from either.
Yeah, you get a different slant from either.
Exactly.
Because Aliens is leaned, that conjures more, the action idea.
And also more of a military type of thing.
Yeah.
And if I'm thinking Blomkamp is going to direct an Alien movie, and he also, knowing some of the rough story points that he wanted to cover, it's probably going to be called Aliens, not Alien. So I'm thinking, if they really wanted to, they could put them out within less than a year of each other, and people would probably go, oh, these are two disconnected things because they're both called different things. They just happen to be from the same source material. And I think people would accept that. I would definitely accept that. How about you guys?
Sure, I guess so. I mean, at the end of the day, all I want is a good product.
Yeah, I guess it's like, who fucking cares? They're going to do it anyway. So it's like, that really depresses me now. Like, what we say means nothing. But whatever.
They're going to do what they want.
Anyway.
They're going to do what they want, so you might as well just lube up and get ready.
That's true. That's true.
You know what? You have to get ready to prepare our anuses.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's just move on then. That's a perfect way to sum that up. We have no power. We're all going to die one day. It doesn't matter. Just hug your parents and fucking run into the street and play in front of the car.
Game over.
It's game over. Perfect.
Game over, man.
Game over.
All right,
All right.
children at home who shouldn't be listening to this podcast anyway, you're not special. There's no such thing as a happy ending.
Genetically, we're all identical, and we all have the same motivations, regardless of what anybody tells
We're not
you.
even the coolest species of human that's ever existed. There were Homo erectuses that were like 8 feet tall. All right, so just like go cry.
Have you ever seen a Neanderthal skull? Those fuckers were badass. They could like fucking kill people just by hitting them with their own heads. Anyway, Andre's next story.
All right. So the next
Oh,
one,
that got fucked up.
So the next one concerns the upcoming all-female Ghostbusters movie that is really that's going to be coming out next year.
Here's a movie that people are excited about.
Yeah, and this is pretty interesting. I'm going to send you guys the link because the director kind of had a bit of a meltdown on Twitter, and
Actually, I saw that news today.
Yeah, pretty much
Who's directing this again?
Paul Feig, the guy behind
Right,
Bridesmaids,
right.
and this year he made another movie with Melissa McCartney and Jason Statham called Spy. It was a pretty decent movie. It was okay-ish.
I heard it was alright, yeah.
Yeah, and so of course this movie has gotten a lot of shit from many people. Some people have been more vocal about it than others. I know it's very interesting when it comes to the backlash against the all-female Ghostbusters is that there are people who don't like it simply because they see the whole female thing as just a gimmick to, try to get as a pathetic attempt at a gimmick to get more people interested. And then there are other people who don't like it simply because the fact that it's Ghostbusters and, they're changing the whole entire cast. And then there's a lot of people who may not like it because it's women and they don't want to see women or whatever. But then, but when it comes to the people who are trying to defend the movie, they seem to characterize everybody who hates on the movie as being misogynist or whatever. So it's kind of weird where people kind of like overgeneralize the criticism against this movie.
Yeah, this is a really weird one. It's just like because very few people are excited about it. In terms of like, well, it's weird because I don't think any. Are you guys excited for this movie? Because is everybody here like a Ghostbusters fan?
Oh, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan, but it's like, how can you have Ghostbusters without the Ghostbusters? I feel like you can't really have a Ghostbusters movie without like having that core cast of extremely talented writers and comedians behind them. I mean, it's like
they do have a. I mean, I like the people who are making this movie. Like. I think McCartney's funny.
I mean, I will see the movie just to see how.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely
how it stacks up against the original.
I wish I could be more excited because I know some of these people from SNL. I like this cast, all right. It's just
it doesn't need to exist.
Right.
It's so gimmicky.
You know what though? I just had a thought though.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with where I'm sort of at with this movie excitement-wise because I don't give a shit. If it's terrible, it doesn't matter, and if it's great, that's awesome. If if this movie is really, really good, like I think it does have the potential to be, then I'm glad that building up to it, I didn't give a fuck about it. Because then I'll like it. Like, I'll walk out of it going, it'll be sort of like, my favorite movie of the year so far has been Mad Max Fury Road, a movie I didn't see in theaters. I didn't give a fucking shit about Mad Max until 2 months ago. And then I watched Fury Road, and all of a sudden Mad Max is like my favorite thing ever. So
you didn't see it in theaters, Bill?
No, I watched it on YouTube, man, and I fucking fell in love with it. That thing is a masterpiece. But point is, I loved that movie more than anything I saw in theaters this year that I was excited for, like Jurassic World and Avengers and Ant-Man.
And Terminator to an extent.
And Terminator. And I went into that thing and I just absolutely fell in love with it. And partially it was because like I had I had a little bit of expectations because everybody was ranting and raving about it. But I didn't have any personal expectations because I didn't give a shit about Mad Max. So I think that this has the potential to be that sort of situation. Now, this all comes down to whether or not the movie is good. But I don't know. It's just, but all this shit, him ranting and raving, nah, this is not how you do it.
Like,
this is,
I feel like for people, for directors, themselves, I feel like trying to attack the people who are hating on your movie is not good for publicity's sake. No. And also it makes you look very childish. It's kind of like, even on the internet, people are always going to talk shit about you. It's like, I feel like the best way to, deal with that sort of hate is just simply ignore it, because otherwise you're just giving them more. If you respond to the quote unquote haters, which may or may not the haters in the traditional sense. But if you try to violently or verbally attack the people who are criticizing you, it's just going to give them it adds more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and it makes the publicity worse. It's not going to do anybody any favors. And you know what it also shows to me? People who take shit for their movies, in terms of like they get a lot of hate before the movie comes out, and they don't say anything. That tells me they have confidence. Yeah. They have a confidence in their product that it doesn't matter what people say, that they have confidence that what they've made is good and that they don't care. This shows insecurity.
Right. I was about to say that. This shows that it kind of has a very little faith. Like, come on, guys, it's good. Stop hating on it, man. It's going to be good.
I don't know if it's like lack of faith. I just think it's insecurity about what he's actually made. I can't prove that. I don't know the man, and I'm just basing this on tweets. So I'm just saying, from a publicity standpoint, this was a really bad idea.
Even like the hashtags themselves, it's like hashtag drunken tweet, hashtag not
hashtag enough,
hashtag not really, hashtag sick of the haters, hashtag enough, hashtag freedom, hashtag on vacation. It kind of comes across as a bit of an ass and kind of like what do you call it? Not overly ambitious, but he's kind of very arrogant in a way, where he's like, yeah, I really showed them.
I'm just thinking to myself,
so
like,
this picture at the top of the article, is that him with Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham?
I think that's him, considering that
he looks like a love child of fucking Mr. Rogers and Mr. Furley from Three's Company.
And Damon Lindelof.
Like, you just smash those people together.
I was also going to say, like, Woody Allen.
David, you were gonna disagree with me a couple of minutes ago, so why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, then again, people do have moments where they just break.
Yeah, and I think that's what this was ultimately.
Yeah, I don't think that speaks that he's insecure about the project. I just, it was exactly what it sounded. He just had enough of the hate.
Right, but my point is that that's how it comes off generally. Like that's generally what causes that, but also that's how people are going to perceive it regardless of what the actual intention was. And sadly, that's the way the internet kills something now. Like, look at Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four is a movie that was killed by the internet. I mean, it's also a piece of shit, but I'm saying that movie bombed ultimately because it was killed by the internet.
And then when Josh Trank, the director of Fantastic Four, he made that one tweet that he quickly deleted, that tweet spread across the internet and kind of sealed his faith and caused was him actually spilling the beans in a way about the stuff, about the behind the scenes shit that's been going on the last year or a couple of months or whatever. It kind of that single tweet itself almost seems to have sealed his faith in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, he hasn't talked or done anything since then.
I think that was more to imply that it was Fox's fault.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
definitely. There's been a lot of he said, she said, his fault, his or their fault. It's like a back and forth sort of deal as to who was really to blame in this situation. But the thing is,
who's the real douchebag?
Yeah. But the thing is, normally that type of behind the scenes drama is, most people tend to keep a lid on that for the sake of for the sake of not burning any bridges.
Yeah, and this is a little different, because this isn't like he came out and said, oh, everybody on this set is an asshole, fuck everybody. He seems to pretty much be saying, I loved working with all these people, and
all of you are assholes.
Yeah, and all of you are assholes for giving us shit. And again, I think, David, I do think you're right, ultimately.
You really gotta put himself in his shoes, in a way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But
I guess so, because
I'm just saying though, this guy is not a young guy though. This is not a young director. This is a seasoned filmmaker though, and I just think it's just really unprofessional. And again, I do sympathize with him because I've been there. But I just think that when you've got the keys to a kingdom like this, Ghostbusters, a loved franchise, something that nobody wants remade, and you're sort of doing a remake of it, we don't know what it is yet. Whether it's
a reboot, isn't it? Because
here's the thing. According to the many rumors, and Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson are having cameos apparently.
Yeah, and he's pissed that people know about that too, and I'm kind of pissed about that too. I would have liked that to have been a surprise. Not that I really give a shit. But
you know what the worst part about this article is? They get down to the bottom, and he announced that Sigourney Weaver is going to be in the movie, and then they're talking about Sigourney Weaver, and I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, Sigourney Weaver, that's cool, and then this line made me just go, ugh. In addition to this new mystery role, the 65-year-old Golden Globe winner is slated to star in a handful of upcoming films, including 4 potential Avatar sequels.
Oh my gosh!
Now those are movies that don't need to exist.
Yeah, that's true.
4.
I mean, but you know what though? Avatar is something now where I'm like, I'm not going to go see an Avatar sequel. Like, that's not a franchise that I care about at all. So even if I know it's going to be bad, I'm not going to go to it. Like, you know, with something like Fantastic Four, even though I knew it was going to be bad, I watched that movie because I care about the Fantastic Four, so I need to see it to sort of have historical context when whatever happens with that franchise happens.
Or like when people bring it up in conversations from here on out.
Exactly.
Kind of like, it's like our generation, not our generation because Batman and Robin, but it's like kind of like the 21st century's Batman and Robin.
A little bit. It's sort of like this year's worst Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Alright, so I think we've pretty much covered on that story.
Can we talk about the monster stuff next? Because, remember, I gotta leave early.
Okay, so that...
What time do you have to go? How long do you have?
Either 9:30 or 10, but I'll try to extend it to 10 o'clock.
Okay, great. So, because we were going to save that for the end. So, why don't we just... Andres, why don't you knock out... How many more stories do you have before we get
just
going?
The Godzilla, Shin Godzilla and King Kong versus Godzilla.
So you know what? So let's knock this first thing out of the way, and then we'll just dive right into all the Godzilla and Kaiju
Okay,
stuff.
this concerns Kong Skull Island, where it was recently confirmed that John Goodman has been added to the cast, and there has been recent details on the plot itself for this film, where let's see.
God, I hope he's playing Mechanic Kong.
he's gonna do the motion capture.
So John Goodman will be playing a government official named Randa, who leads an expedition. The film is supposedly set in the 1970s, where Kong Skull Island centers on a man, played by Tom Hiddleston, who brings a rescue team to a mysterious creature-laden island in search of his brother, who got stranded there while trying to retrieve a mythical cure-all serum. So this is kind of like maybe sort of like a callback to the original Kong, where a part of the film was a rescue mission. Here seems to be the same thing, where one guy goes to Skull Island. Now Loki's going to come in with his gang to rescue the first person.
Loki. He's going to come in with his stick, and he's going to be like, "I am burdened with glory."
So
then Kong is going to pick him up and smack him all over the ground.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's Jurassic Park 3, but with Skull Island.
So, we've talked about this before, but this seems to be at least partially taking some cues from Kong, King of Skull Island, the book, which I just finished recently, finally.
Finally?
Yeah.
I mean, it took you years to finish it?
Yeah, it did, actually.
Except it
took me a month.
Although I guess this is not going to focus on, or maybe, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be focusing on any of the Denham family.
No, it doesn't, and I'm fine with that, but I'm wondering, I mean, they've got to still keep the canon of the original, right? Like, or at least a version of that story, because otherwise, what the fuck is the point?
This movie is supposedly a prequel with Kong before he comes to America, but
wait a second, are they modernizing it then?
Well, according to this article on /film.com, it says the movie takes place in the 70s.
Okay, well, because I always expected what they were going to do, and I guess we'll get it. I guess we're going to have to spoil the sort of story we're going to get into later, but I guess they're going to have to do this like a Captain America First Avenger thing, where they sort of set up Kong and then connect it to the Godzilla stuff later.
So at some point,
Go
ahead, David.
I was just going to say, that sounds kind of like what Legendary is going to go for.
Yeah, that seems to be the direction, which means, I guess, that's sort of like Captain America. They're going to introduce him to the modern world in whatever Godzilla movie or King Kong movie Kong makes his first true debut in the present day in. So I guess they're going to sort of play it like, you know, all this stuff happens in the past that sets up Skull Island and Kong's world, and then they're just going to have him actually debut to the public in I guess King Kong versus Godzilla or whatever the hell they're putting.
Yeah, imagine like I can imagine like somewhere Skull Island is located near the North Pole. Eventually, the island collapses and Kong gets turned into like a Kongsicle for however many decades.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into sort of our thoughts on the whole King Kong versus Godzilla thing in a minute, but let's just cover Kong individually for a second here. So number one, John Goodman, amazing actor.
Love
That's
that guy.
Choice.
He was Fred Flintstone, for crying out loud.
He was Fred Flintstone. He was fucking Dan on Roseanne, and I'm aware that rhymes. So perfect. I'm glad he's in it. I guess he's a good fill-in for who left this project. J.K. Simmons and Michael.
Yeah, both of them.
So I guess he's a good fill-in for those two, sort of an older, seasoned actor. So I think he's a good
actor. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's a good fill-in for that. But in terms of like that synopsis that you told me, that doesn't sound. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the worst thing ever, but it just sounds like I was really hoping that this was going to sort of not worry about telling the story of the original and just sort of give us the backstory of Skull Island in sort of like, if you know the original King Kong, you can just watch this and you'll know all the iconography that we're going to reference. So I guess it's not really going to be like that. That's not really the way this is going to be, though, now.
Like, it seems like there is definitely a strong human story here. I'm kind of disappointed that it's mostly like American characters going to the island, or maybe they're not American characters, but it's like it's focused on like people from the modern world coming to Skull Island, as opposed to just leaving Skull Island as it is and dealing with those characters that are already living there.
Well, to be fair, the book also has people come in from not America, but from Europe, pirates, and I guess that's spoiler warning for Kong King of Skull Island. I mean, it's not really a spoiler, that's on the cover, but yeah, so they do that too, and of course the setup for that story is Vincent Denham and Jack Driscoll returning to Skull Island. Vincent Denham is Carl Denham's son, returning to Skull Island, trying to find out what happened to his dad. So,
and from there on, he learns about the history of Kong, which kind of takes up the majority of the book.
Right, the book is Kong's origin story, but it sets up stuff before we're introduced to Kong. So, it's sort of, that's how I thought this was going to go. So when I heard it was going to be set in the 70s, I was like, oh, maybe they're going to have Vincent Denham in the 70s, and then we're going to have a bunch of flashbacks. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
Everybody cross your fingers for red-haired Lady Kong.
Yeah, exactly. I hope they maintain some of the myth. They're going to have to, though. They better maintain some of that mythos, though, from Kong King of Skull Island, because that was all pretty brilliant. All the vague references to Atlantis and everything, and the different tribes of the Tagu and the Atu, and what the Kongs are and all that. So I'm hoping they maintain at least some of that. Maybe make it, because not all of that is brilliantly handled in the book. That book has some massive problems, by the way. So hopefully they'll tweak some of that. But I don't know. I'm a little bit less excited for this now, honestly. Is that weird? That like all this?
I don't know. I guess I can sort of understand that. Like you're hoping for like to see Kong's origin, and this, according to this like continuity, and for what we're about to talk about right after this, it seems like it's less of an origin story and more of a we're gonna do our own continuity thing with this.
Yeah, which I don't know. I'm totally fine with a modern reinterpretation of King Kong to an extent. After rereading or re-listening to, or finishing Kong King of Skull Island, I listened to a version, I talked about this on one video we did, a version of King Kong that was rewritten by the original writers of Kong King of Skull Island in order to readapt that story to fit it in with their version. So that was brilliant, and it was a great listen, because it was sort of like King Kong, but with all the sort of awkward like hindrances of the times. All the sexism is taken out. And,
oh man, that's my favorite part.
A little bit of the racism is taken out.
Oh
so
man, my second favorite part.
They just ruined the story of King Kong for Dylan.
The special effects, like number 5 on the list.
Yeah, the special, the audiobook that I listened to, yeah, they really peaked up the special effects in that.
I'm talking about of the original movie. That's like number 5 on the list. Above that is the racism and the sexism.
Yeah, exactly.
Followed by the homophobia.
Followed by the
some
homophobia.
And some of the terrible acting.
Yes.
Anyway, so, yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Let's move on.
Okay, so the next news is kind of less about the news itself, but more about the media's response to this quote-unquote news, where I guess rumors came about that, it all started with the production of Kong Skull Island officially moving over from Universal's hands to Warner Brothers, which is very interesting because I think the movie is still being made by Legendary Pictures, I think.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, and Legendary Pictures, they originally moved away from Warner Brothers to work with Universal, and now they're going back to Warner Brothers with Kong Skull Island. So this led to rumors about there possibly being like some sort of crossover between, Kong Skull Island and Godzilla 2014. And that's when every media outlet on the internet talked about.
Oh, everybody lost
Everybody
their
was
shit.
like, King Kong, everyone was like, KKVG confirmed. It was like the Rodan shit all over again.
Yeah, it was exactly like the Rodan shit all over again.
This was like everywhere. Like Machinima talked about it. What is it called? Movie Plot talked about it.
They did it on the Weekly Planet, which is the podcast
First of all,
I go to for a lot of my news.
First of all, I doubt
one.
that in the new Kong movie they're going to make him 300 feet tall. So that immediately causes a problem.
Well, okay. So let's break this down, shall we?
But so
Number
far,
one,
to say, so far nothing has been confirmed yet. Well, then, sorry.
It's been all but confirmed.
Okay, yeah, because later there came further news that there have been like rumors within like the studios. Rumors have been leaked that Pacific Rim 2 was going to be, or Pacific Rim Maelstrom was going to be pushed back in order to make room for King Kong versus Godzilla, aka Godzilla 3-ish, I guess.
Well, wait, are they making one of those Godzilla sequels, King Kong versus Godzilla? I thought that was a separate... Because I don't think Gareth Edwards is going to do... The impression that I was under, and this is just from my own standpoint, was that this was going to be a separate crossover movie that is not part of either franchise. Where it's like, it's in continuity with the... But you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, it's not a Godzilla sequel and it's not a King Kong sequel. It's just a crossover.
It's basically...
That's in that universe.
So it's basically Batman v Superman.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Although recently it's been confirmed by, I guess, Zack Snyder that Batman v Superman is Man of Steel 2, but who gives a shit?
Because that motherfucker can't make up his mind and he says some really weird shit.
Oh yeah, but that's a whole other can of worms that we're not going to get into tonight.
Yeah, no, Batman v Superman news is for a later time. So, alright, number one, this is the most important thing to me because you guys are like, if you guys feel something about Godzilla, I need to reconsider how I feel about Godzilla in that way. So number one, King Kong versus Godzilla, a new version with a new Godzilla, and whatever version of Kong is going to be in Skull Island, crossing over, fighting, remake of King Kong versus Godzilla. Are you guys cool with that? Do you want to see it?
Fuck yeah, I want to see it, although I'm extremely concerned about, or not concerned, but more confused. I'm going to fucking see it anyway, but I'm extremely confused as to how the fuck it's going to work.
He's gonna see it, goddammit. You can't stop him.
Shit out of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing it.
He's gonna see that movie so much and so hard that shit is literally gonna come out of the screen. Like it's just gonna be the laws of physics don't matter.
The movie will be uncomfortable at the way I look at it. The movie's gonna get a restraining order from how I stare at that shit.
A bead of sweat is gonna roll down the movie. That's how fucking nervous Andres is going to make that fucking movie.
The problem that I just can't get over is the scale thing, because they're either going to have to shrink Godzilla, or Rita Repulsa is going to have to use her staff on King Kong.
You know what though? That's the least of my concerns at this point. Like I don't care about that.
They'll come up with some like radioactive. No, they can't really pull the radioactivity bullshit.
No,
that doesn't fly anymore.
They'll just make him 350 feet tall, and you know what? That's fine with me. If they do that and they don't draw attention to it, I'll be totally cool with it. David, what are your thoughts, though?
Like, Kong's got to eat some major spinach before this fight, that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a way you can make Kong the same size of Godzilla, logically speaking.
Wait, well, hang on. Do you think that they should just do what I just said and just sort of make him 350 feet tall and not draw attention to it?
Well, they could do that, but you can also, do this. Apparently, not apparently, in 2014, the 50s bomb tests were attempts to kill Godzilla, right?
Correct.
Well, what if that radiation just spread to Skull Island and affected King Kong?
That's what has sort of... Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do mutants in this universe.
No, I'm just saying, it could work that way. You don't need to bring too much logic into it. Just
Oh, no, absolutely. That's definitely the case.
You just need a reason. It doesn't have to be good or bad. Just have a fucking reason.
Yeah, true. But they also could just, like, not explain it. They could have him be normal Kong size in Skull Island and then just have him show up and be Godzilla size.
Well, here's the thing that I heard, and I really don't want them to do this, that they probably might make them allies, which I could see work.
That's kind of like the most generic, like, crossover storyline ever, where it's like, oh, let's have them fight, then let's have them team up against a greater foe.
Well, they can't kill them. They can't kill either of them.
Maybe if they made Kong bigger, but not necessarily the size of Godzilla, like
that's what people have said.
Like you know that issue of Rulers of Earth where Godzilla's fighting the Gargantuas, and the Gargantuas are the size that they were in the movie, but they're smaller than Godzilla is, and they're like swinging around on buildings and shit.
Well, yeah, because that Godzilla is Millennium Godzilla size,
and
their Showa size, which is like I don't even think they hit 100 feet.
I guess they could pull something off like that. They would still have to size Kong up like a lot, but
I don't think they will, though, and I'll tell you why. Because the way this is being played is that people aren't even like... People are going to this thinking, oh my god... Because they're going to try and market this like, who's going to win? Whose side are you on, Kong or Godzilla? I have a feeling they're going to play like a Batman...
It's going to be the next, Edward and Jacob from Twilight. Team Edward, Team Jacob.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. I would totally wear a shirt that was like Team Godzilla, Team Kong.
Remember how widespread that marketing campaign was?
Oh, yeah, of course.
If they do it, they better not pussy out like Toho did and like have an ending where it's not clear like who wins.
Well, it is clear.
It's kind of clear. Yeah.
In the script, they say Kong wins, so I always walked away from that with no ambiguity whatsoever.
Bullshit.
I was always just like Kong wins. But I have a feeling that's going to be... Well, you've also got to remember... I know we'll get off this because this is irrelevant, but you've also got to remember that at that point, King Kong was a way more famous character than Godzilla was. And that's not the case now. I would argue that in some circles, Godzilla's more, not recognizable, but more popular than King Kong.
That basically means more recognizable.
No. Yeah, but I think if you said, what do you know more about, King Kong or Godzilla, people would probably say King Kong.
God, this is like that Schwarzenegger versus Stallone question that we had on the episode.
Yeah, it is sort of. But you guys know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if you ask people now, who do you like more, Godzilla or Kong? Mm-hmm. I guarantee 9 out of 10 people will say Godzilla. And that's not just because he had a movie that came out last year that some people liked and some people didn't.
That probably might be supplementing the answer.
Yeah, no, I know, but anyway. So let's move on then. All right. So this is kind of a conundrum, and again, what we say about this doesn't matter because they'll fucking do whatever they want, and whatever they want may be good or bad, but I think that, for me, the best way that they could do this, in terms of bringing Kong into Godzilla's path, and again, I don't think they're going to do it this way. I don't even know how I want them to do it this way, because I don't even know if I like this, is you have Kong either exist in the 30s like he did, or exist at some point prior in the public eye, or even in just the same way Godzilla did in 2014, where the government knows about it but not the general public. And
actually,
do it.
I think they are going to do that because
that seems to be what they're doing, right?
Because some later reports said that they're trying to add the Monarch organization into Kong Skull Island,
which I guess would make sense if they're going to be
one. So they really are going to be the shield of this monster cinematic universe.
Well, I wish they played that up more in 2014. Like, Monarch has so little to do with the events of 2014.
Yeah, I can't wait till the television series. Legendary's Agents of Monarch.
That'd be you guys can't tell me you wouldn't fucking watch.
It's a prequel.
Cranston comes back from the dead. And
they'd have to bring him back.
He's like, sorry. He's like, sorry, I didn't. He walks out of the shadows. He's like, sorry, I didn't leave the lights on. I just thought it was more dramatic that way.
But you know what's also like? They could totally get Ken Watanabe for a TV show in a heartbeat. If they were like, you're going to be the star, he would do it in a second. You can't tell me he wouldn't.
Every week he would be like, let them fight.
That's his solution. Like, damn it, Serizawa, that's your solution to everything.
It would basically just have to be, if they made a TV series out of that, wouldn't it basically just be Ultra Q? Like, every episode would just be like a different type.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they wouldn't have Godzilla in it. There's no way. But also, it's like they couldn't do the CG for them. Anyways, Fuck it.
No, Bill, they're going to build 60-style suits.
I would be totally fine with that.
No, for the first episode, you're going to have Godzilla, except he's going to be disguised. He's Gomez, except he's like Spanish Gomez, so it's Godzilla with a mustache.
Like,
it's just people commenting on what Godzilla's doing off screen. They're like, "Oh, Godzilla's doing this now. Oh shit, he did that."
They'll film it the old way, but with suits that are the quality of like that Beastie Boys music video. Like,
yeah.
So here's what I was trying to propose before. What if Kong is killed in a similar or exactly the same way he's always been killed? Empire State Building, falls down, oh, we're all sad. And then his DNA is kept on file because he's an original animal. He's sort of, he's unique in the world, and he's the last one of his kind, so sort of preemptively, Monarch or whoever keep Kong's genetic material on file. And then after Godzilla reappears in 2014 and the Mutos reappear, they genetically engineer a new Kong as sort of a backup weapon in case they need to take out Godzilla or whoever. And they genetically engineer him to be the size of Godzilla. Now, that's fucking dumb, but that's the only thing I could think of. Like, if I was writing this movie, that's all I could think of.
Instead of trying to clone the mammoths, they're trying to bring back Kong instead.
If they did that, would you guys accept it?
I've accepted more ludicrous things. I mean, we are all lovers of the Showa era stuff, and it's like, hey,
yeah, sure.
And
they've done weirder shit in the more modern times. It's like,
yeah,
like I think
black holes.
I think Kiyu is weirder than what I just suggested.
I guess, yeah. Imagine if they pulled a Kiryu where they preserved King Kong's corpse. And then
he's just fucking hanging out in a giant tank,
and then they turned him into fucking Cygor from Spawn.
But there's a major fucking difference, though.
No, they just do mechanical.
There's a major fucking difference, though. That's Japan, and they can get away with weird shit.
But I think though, if you just did it, I think people don't give American audiences enough credit. Like, I think if you just fucking do something, and you just don't worry about it, and you just fucking give them whatever you're gonna do, and then just don't draw attention to it, people will accept it. Like, think about Mad Max Fury Road. I know I've talked about it already, but there is some weird ass shit in that movie that is just not explained, and people were totally fine with it.
Well, two things: one, it was Australian, and two, that was from the mind of 70-year-old George Miller.
Yeah,
but in the end, it was the audiences that made it the success that Mad Max Fury Road because they were able phenomenon
to, that it was.
Yeah, because they were able to look past all the weirdness and embrace it and say, "Fuck yeah, that is awesome."
And didn't care that it wasn't explained or that it didn't work in a realistic context. I mean, ultimately the problem is that 2014 is brutally realistic in some respects. So by and large, it's played realistically. So that's your problem outset. Here's how you fix it. You make Kong not that way. You do this new Kong movie and you go, this isn't going to be realistic. Not realistic, but what we're going to do is this is more of a fanciful thing. There's an island out there with all these dinosaurs running around on it, and with Kong and all that, and you're going to accept that weirdness, and then you're just going to have to accept all this other shit. Like, they're going to have to start doing that inherently, because I got news for you. The Godzilla universe is fucking weird.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. So they're going to just have to start going, yeah, he's got 3 heads and he shoots lightning out of them. Yeah, you're just going to have to accept it because there's no way we can possibly make that Dark Knight style realistic without it being fucking ludicrous. So just deal with it because you know what? It's Godzilla, and if people aren't willing to accept that, then they're not the ones who should be watching a Godzilla movie. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we need to start getting to that point with this universe. And have they? Because I'm unclear about this. Have there been rumors that Pacific Rim 2 is connected to all this as well?
No, it was just a bunch of fanful wishing.
Oh, okay. By the way, that would have killed it.
Yes, it's like, no. Let Pacific Rim be its own thing. We need more original content out there in Hollywood. It's that's number one. Yeah, we need to keep that as like its own thing. You know, it's like Star Wars. You don't want to officially, cross over Star Wars with like official canon-wise with anything. Mm-hmm. Just let it be its own, big universe thing.
Yeah, if you want to pretend that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Star Wars universe are the same thing, that's fine.
Or if you want to make like some sort of Disney Infinity, cute little crossover thing with all those characters, fine, sure. Yeah, it's like in terms of serious canon storytelling, it's like it's unnecessary.
More than that, I also think it's stupid because Pacific Rim is deliberately
an homage.
Sort of homaging and also God, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Not rehashing, but sort of
reusing.
But it's derivative of kaiju of other kaiju stuff and other science fiction properties. So
right,
to cross it over with the stuff that it's being derivative of would be to me like crossing over Star Wars with Spaceballs. you know what I mean? Like,
it could work.
But no, shut up, David. It can't work because I like both of those things separately. So don't fucking ruin them for me by crossing them together. Also, I don't think Mel Brooks has another Spaceballs thing in him because that show is crap. So
Darth Vader.
Leave Spaceballs alone anyway.
The dark helmet suggested to Darth Vader to travel at ludicrous speed.
Yeah, he's just like, what? But it's like, because it's like that stuff is derivative of Star Wars, so to cross it over just makes Spaceballs look redundant, or it makes Star Wars look redundant.
Yeah.
It makes both things look redundant. I think that's what crossing over Godzilla with Pacific Rim, or even making all this different monster stuff that they have now one big universe, completely pointless, just because you're just killing the point of all these things existing separately, because they're all derivative of each other, and they're all sort of commenting on each other in different ways, you know what I'm saying? So let them all, like Kong and Godzilla, that's fine. They've crossed over before. They're original they're properties that have existed before and again existed together. So that's fine in a way that it's not for me to cross over Pacific Rim with all that.
Uh-huh.
But David, I know you're gonna have to go soon, so why don't you round off your thoughts and then we can just keep talking, and then you can just go whenever you have to. So, you have anything else to say about Kong and Godzilla crossing over and all this nonsense that you haven't said yet?
One, I definitely support this. I want it to happen one way or another. Continuity or no continuity. Because I think it's about time we had a new Kong versus Godzilla film, whether it's a remake or not.
I just don't like the fact that it's in continuity with 2014.
I wouldn't mind her at all.
Well, I mean, it is now. But I think it's just... I think the reason why it bugs me is because I always thought that if they were going to do it, I wanted them to do it in sort of a way where it didn't take itself too seriously and was sort of... I wanted them to do it like how Peter Jackson remade King Kong. That movie takes itself seriously, but it's a total throwback to 30s adventure movies and takes place in that time period. I'm not saying it has to take place in the 60s, but I just wanted it to be like, this is that style of movie as it was at the time. This is a classic monster fight with all of the goofiness and all that, but we're going to play it totally straight. And this is going to be a remake with the same sort of tone and atmosphere of the original, just with sort of a modern wink and a smile behind it to make it work for modern audiences.
We'll make it in the style of the lost. We'll make it in the style of the Lost Skeleton of Cadabra.
Exactly. But you guys know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like with 2014. It's sort of too... It
takes itself too seriously to allow a King Kong thing to exist?
No, because I like the fact... Because I feel like we go back and forth on all this. Dark Godzilla and Campy Godzilla, which one's better? And I'll say what I've always said. I like them both separately, I like them both at different times. So I always thought if they were going to remake King Kong versus Godzilla, I always thought don't make it in continuity with anything. Just bring somebody in who's hugely into that property and hugely into that world, and just go crazy with it, and not worry about connecting the dots between different things, because I think that causes problems. So
I mean, it's already going to be a major stretch to try and work Mothra and Rodan and King Ghidorah into the universe as it was set up.
Oh God, yeah, that's already going to be a huge...
That's already going to be like take some major mental gymnastics, but a 300-foot tall gorilla just like...
Yeah. And also just blending all this different mythos together, like, and I guess we don't know enough about the Godzilla 2014 universe to sort of suggest that none of this wacky shit can exist in. I mean, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what they've done. I mean, the world of Daredevil and Guardians exists in the same world, and that shit is two totally different sides of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess that's a little different because, Guardians takes place in deep space and Daredevil street level, so those two things can exist and not know about each other and nobody will care. But this is different because these are all gigantic things that are all existing on one world and sort of you feel like these things would have been mentioned before. You know what I'm saying? So, again, it can be made to work. I'm probably gonna see it, and I'm probably gonna love it, but it's a weird idea. That's sort of where I'm gonna come down on it. Who knows how's it gonna go? It could be terrible. It could be brilliant. We don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see.
And we'll never know. No.
The world may never know.
We'll all be dead by then.
I made that joke. I was in my friend's dorm room. We were talking about this, and we were talking about the party that we have before that movie comes out is going to be insane. He's like, when is it coming out? And I'm like, I have no idea. And I made the joke. We'll probably be dead by the time it comes out.
I mean, like realistically, this could come out in 5 years, 6 maybe, 6 top.
I bet in 2020 era.
Andres, I actually think 6 is a bit I think that's a bit liberal. I think we should be a little more conservative. I'm saying 15 years.
I mean, sequels generally come out within 2 to 3 years, and Godzilla's an exception, coming out. Godzilla 2 only coming out 4 years afterwards.
Boy, in 15 years, wouldn't Legendary lose the license to Godzilla?
Who knows, though? But I'm just saying...
They have to make another Godzilla movie to keep that license.
But here's the thing. They're going to have to kick their asses into gear, though, anyway.
Eventually,
because they can't keep waiting for Gareth Edwards to direct Star Wars movies to make these movies now. They're building a cinematic universe, supposedly, then they need to get their ass in
by the
gear.
time, Godzilla 3, King Kong vs. Godzilla comes out, they're already going to make, Shin Godzilla 7.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing on top of all this is now that we got 2 Godzilla continuities running simultaneously, so people are going to be double confused. But we don't care about them because they're...
At some point, none of this is going to matter because in the future, all of these intellectual properties will have been bought by the evil corporation known as Disney. And they will all be playable on the newest version of Disney Infinity.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see. Let's move on to the final story where we move on from one Godzilla and we travel across the Pacific to talk about another. We are going to be talking about the fact that Toho recently had a big announcement concerning the news of their Godzilla 2016. Now it's been officially titled Shin Godzilla, or, Shin Godzilla, Shin being a Japanese term that can mean either new Godzilla, true Godzilla, or God Godzilla. Or if you want to play around with the title, say God Square Zilla.
God Square Zilla.
He's transformed into a Super Godzilla god.
What?
Super God Godzilla. Let's see. So we've also had 3 principal cast members revealed, 2 of which actually appeared in Shinji Higuchi's live-action Attack on Titan movies. And basically, the movie does take place. It's they kind of had a brief, plot synopsis, where it's saying that Godzilla. This movie takes place in modern day time. Godzilla shows up, and you're gonna have both focusing on both the Japanese and American governments collaborating with each other in terms of dealing with this Godzilla attack, and that they went to great lengths to talk about how this is supposedly this is supposed to be the dark, gritty Godzilla that we were all kind of hoping for, that return to that apocalyptic style, 1954 style Godzilla. And they're kind of the actors themselves and the press release was kind of hyping up this as being the true return of Godzilla. And I'm getting the feeling that Toho is kind of trying to have this dick measuring contest with Legendary's Godzilla.
Oh, that's what they're doing. We've talked about this for a long time now. That's what this is ultimately.
During that original announcement that Toho was going to make their original Godzilla, and people were kind of translating the article saying that we want to show who the real Godzilla is. I remember on DFOS, you and Dylan were kind of maybe this is a mistranslation. Maybe they didn't really mean to be so antagonistic. Now I'm feeling that they are pretty antagonistic.
Yeah, I'm getting a very passive aggressive vibe from Toho. Not gonna lie.
Where it's we'll show them.
Yeah, it seems. Well, to me, here's the thing, though. I'm gonna say 2 things. It's stupid that they're doing this because both of them are gonna make money regardless, and I don't think Toho should expect that anybody who saw 2014 and that's the thing that introduced them to Godzilla is gonna translate to this movie making any more money in America than it would have prior to that.
Maybe it's not a matter of money so much, but rather maybe it's a Japanese thing. Maybe it's sort of honor or whatever, where it's
Yeah.
They got to show that they got to show like they are the superior ones because they are character.
That's the next thing I was going to say, and that I think is a good thing because I think that means the movie will be better. If they're trying, and that's not necessarily true, but I think that's a possibility that if they're trying to prove themselves as the real producers of Godzilla stuff, and we're going to try and make a Godzilla movie that outdoes that and the fans like better. I feel like that means that they're going to try harder to make something that's actually good. Like something that's a quality product and that tells a good story and that does the Godzilla character justice, that does something new with that character.
Which the actors claim this movie is.
Well, of course they're going to say that because they want the thing to sell. But I think that there's a strong possibility then that Toho is going to make something really good because they want to say not fuck you, but sort of outdo Legendary. Mm-hmm. I think that's good. Competition can be good, guys. I mean, it can be healthy,
It's possible that Toho actually listened to the criticism of the reception to listen to the criticisms of Godzilla 14.
They did because they did it with 98.
True, yeah. And I think one last bit of news concerning this is that, of course, in September 6th, I believe, like early September, shooting for Shin Godzilla began, and I believe it's going to principal photography, I think, it's going to end in October, at which point they're going to switch over to like focusing on the special effects stuff.
Have they confirmed Sudomation yet?
Yeah.
I'm not...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, of course.
There's the shot of them on the miniatures, yeah.
Right, yeah, and of course there's Shinji Higuchi, who's, worked a lot with suits.
Yeah, they have confirmed that.
Did you guys see that picture of, that red picture of Godzilla that's, on some of the cups and bags given to the extras who participated in the filming?
No.
I think I have.
So I'm gonna see if I
can. Do you have that picture?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to text it to you guys. Meanwhile, you guys can talk a bit more about what your thoughts on this news.
Yeah, we can talk about this news.
We can talk about it. I don't know, Dave. What's your take on all this?
I'm really excited for Shin Godzilla because I'm beginning to suspect that Legendary kind of had similar expectations as fans, because we all thought that 2014 was going to be that return to the style of 54, that end all be all Godzilla.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And when it came out and it turned out to be what it was, they're like, thank God, now we can make the movie that we want to make.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe do you think they were happy that it got a mixed reception?
Probably, because the way Toho is announcing all of these. Speaking about Shin Godzilla, is that they're being very competitive about this, and they're really, really very. It sounds like they're very confident in their reboot of Godzilla.
That is a weird looking Godzilla. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the exact same picture that was also on the what do you call it, little canisters or canteens bottles, I think, that they were giving to the extras. And the thing is, it looked like the whoever drew this image kind of gave up once he got to the tail.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking at with this. I don't think this has any commentary on the design whatsoever.
No, at least it looks like they're good. We know it's going to look like Godzilla, at least.
I don't think that was in question.
Supposedly, Shin Godzilla is going to look more classical than Legendary's Godzilla.
That's right, and which is weird to me, because I'm like, he looks pretty classical, guy. I don't know what you're saying.
Maybe they want the maple leaves and the...
Yeah, I guess they want the maple leaves, but they haven't done...
Feet.
They did the maple leaf spines in Final Wars. But, they've said 54 is their milestone they're trying to hit. They're trying to make something that lines up with 54 because, as we've said, that people feel Legendary didn't do that. So, I'm cool with that. I love the original Godzilla. So,
that's a good movie.
I like that movie quite a bit. So I'm okay with that. Design-wise, though, haven't we sort of outplayed the 54 Godzilla? Because it's 84 is based on 54. GMK's got some of 2000, got some of 54 in it. I don't know. I feel like using that as a bouncing off point is great, but I'd also like them to go, well, what haven't we done with Godzilla yet? What sort of can we pull from that we haven't pulled from in a long time? I don't know. Let's pull from 64 a little bit. Let's pull from 62 a little bit. Let's pull from some other Godzilla designs that we haven't seen in a long time. I don't know. I don't hate the 73 Godzilla. If you pulled some of the better parts of that design from that, then I'd be okay with that. The biggest problem with that Godzilla is that he just looks too flabby. Sort of he's got sort of some hanging fat that doesn't really seem to have a purpose. Like, I think if you throw the head of that Godzilla onto a newer, badass-looking Godzilla, I think that could be cool. Don't you guys think?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I assume that, like, the whole flabby thing...
I don't think they'll do that with this one, is because, you know, it's supposed to be all dark and serious, but...
I suppose, like, the flabbiness of that original suit was due to, like, the trial and error style, like, limitations of suit acting back in 1954, so I'm assuming that, like, with newer... breakthroughs in technology in terms of suit making, they could make something that's like 54, but kind of give it a new coat of paint.
Oh, no, I was talking about 73, when I said it looked flabby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, my bad. I was talking about, because I was saying one of the, there are Godzilla designs that they haven't pulled from in a long time, and one of them is the 73-75 Godzilla.
Uh-huh.
And what I said was put that head on a better body, because I think that one looks flabby, then I think you've got something that looks cool. I don't think they will, because that Godzilla was designed to look more benevolent anyway, so I don't think they will. I understand. Let's pull from some different Godzilla designs.
And kid-friendly with... Uh-huh. Okay, then, I mean, I guess we'll, in the end, it's really hard to gauge where Toho's trying to go for right now. I mean, we know they want to go 54, but it's like, how far is that 54-ness going to? How far are they going to go with that 54 statement?
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to make this Godzilla's first appearance in this continuity. That would be kind of dumb.
Unless they try to pull like a.
Have you guys seen the concept sketch that Matt Frank did of what he thinks 2016 might look like?
Yeah.
No, what's he basing that on?
His own imagination.
Well,
It'd be interesting if it turned out to be accurate, because you remember back in the day he made that concept sketch of what he thought 2014 was going to look like, and then it almost looked that way.
You know what? It did actually. You're right. That was pretty close. Now that I'm thinking about that old picture. Here, let me.
Except for the feet.
Oh yeah, the feet. Oh, all right.
And the skin.
That's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've never been... See, there's been a lot of Godzilla redesigns online that have always looked sort of more like very... They make him very thorny looking. They make all the scales like these big, jagged, like, pieces of armor. There was a lot of talk about that's what 2014 was going to look like. I was very happy that they didn't go in that direction.
Here's here's another one by deviant artist Dope Pope, whose work you guys...
Oh, that's a really really talented guy.
This guy...
with a great name. Oh, I think that one's too similar to 2014 in GMK.
Interesting.
It's interesting for sure. I just think it's a little bit too similar.
Matt Frank's Godzilla fake looks the same as his supposed 2014 sketch.
Yeah, he always has like those sort of big, like dinosaurian looking feet. Like he always draws his Godzilla feet to always look like T-Rex feet, where they're always sort of big and the toes are long and they look very sort of like they're built to take a lot of weight, which I guess makes sense.
Matt Frank's like idea for the concept sketch reminds me a lot of Nightmare Gamera from Gamera 3.
That's a good point. Yeah, it does. It looks a lot like his Neo Godzilla too.
Yeah. Funny how this is called Shin Godzilla, and I'm wondering what kind of title they're going to give it when this movie eventually comes to America, be it a limited theatrical release or a DVD or Blu-ray whatnot.
Do you think Legendary is going to let them release this thing in theaters?
Well, it's not going to be Legendary. It will be Warner Brothers, because they're the ones who have the rights to Godzilla.
No, wouldn't it be Sony? Doesn't Sony still have the international distribution rights for Toho?
No, they have the
on some movies.
They have the rights for the Heisei era and a majority of the Millennium films. For future Godzilla films, like now for Shin Godzilla, they don't have the license for those.
I mean,
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So Warner Brothers would still be the ones who have to put this thing out.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not gonna. There's no way they're gonna let that happen.
I mean,
why would they let a competing Godzilla movie come out?
Well, it would make money for both them and
maybe if as like a direct-to-video release, maybe.
Oh, they're gonna have to release it on DVD. That's not a question. Yeah. But I'm just saying, would they, in their? But I also don't think they'll do it because it's going to confuse people. I mean, it's going to do that regardless.
I mean, like that's Sony, what happened last time because people are idiots.
Didn't Sony themselves release Godzilla 2000 on DVD, like, the year after?
TriStar and Sony put that out together.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the same people who made, it wasn't Centropolis, but...
It was the same distribution company.
Yeah, But they also weren't sure if 98 was going to get a sequel at that point.
But the bad thing about Godzilla 2000 is it didn't do well in American theaters because people thought that it was supposed to be a sequel to 98, and then they went in and got not a sequel to 98. So it's like...
They got something way better. And they're like, fuck this! How dare this be better than our American attempt? And I'm sorry, this will be a similar situation, but not as much of a gap, though, hopefully.
Maybe, damn it, where's my Ferris Bueller?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, though. I just think Warner Brothers would go, why would we put out something that we didn't make that's Godzilla-related and it's only going to confuse people, and ultimately probably won't make them enough money for it to be worth the trouble, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I couldn't even predict how a Japanese Toho Godzilla movie would do in theaters now, because I just think that the climate is so radically different. Like, the internet number one, I think it would automatically make more money than it would have 10 years ago because of where the internet's at now. Uh-huh. People would hear about it, more people would understand what it's supposed to be, and have more information about it.
They're kind of doing a similar thing with the Attack on Titan movies. They're giving them limited theatrical releases.
And they're relying on the internet fan base of that franchise.
Yeah. The reason they're doing that is because Attack on Titan is really huge right now, and American anime fans actually make up a pretty large demographic now, and they get things done. But the thing about like kaiju is we don't have as large of a demographic here in America.
It's bigger now than it was, say, 5 years ago, but
true, but still, it's not nearly as large as the anime community.
No, not even kind of.
And when you're a smaller fandom, releasing a foreign film into the American market is always a tricky business.
Unless it's Godzilla, it's still a marketable brand.
Oh, definitely. But my other question is, do you think they go dubbing or subbing?
Probably dubbing.
What is
the tradition?
Is Attack on Titan going to be dubbed or subbed?
Subbed. It's subbed. It's going to be subbed.
Okay.
I kind of see. I'm kind of conflicted because, personally, I would like it subbed. Just because if I'm going to go see a Godzilla movie in theaters, I'd rather see it the way it was intended to be seen in theaters. With the original performances.
Although what's interesting is that according to this to the news about the three cast, one of them is going to be playing an American government. What do you call it? An American.
Is it Robert Scott Field?
No, it's what's her name? Satomi Ishihara. She's supposedly being playing a U.S. agent, government agent, and according to the article, she has a lot of English in her dialogue. So this movie is going to acknowledge the fact that English and Japanese exist in this world, as opposed to having unlike an anime where everybody conveniently speaks Japanese.
That's always been the case, dude.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So
I think both languages have existed in the Godzilla.
If you're going to have dual languages, if you're going to have dual languages exist in the Japanese version, what are you going to do with a dubbed version?
Yeah, but it could just be but they've done that before in other movies, like The Hunt for Red October does that, where
Godzilla did that.
It opens with them speaking Russian, and then it just sort of fades into them speaking English. So they could do it that way. There's a way you could do it, but ultimately I prefer subtitles. But
I just hope she doesn't have really broken English like some of the Japanese people and some of the other Godzilla.
Yeah, that's true. The Godzilla franchise does not have a good track record for their actors speaking English.
Shit, you guys.
Oh, Dr. Shiragami, I love you, but wow. Just stop talking, man. Just go cry over your dead daughter.
We have to stop the Japan.
Producing any more of that.
That is my favorite Godzilla movie aside from the original. And whenever I tell people that, I'm like, oh, you need to see it. They're just like, what's up with the broken English? I'm like, just ignore that and watch the dubbed version because it's kind of better.
It's like that moment in fucking 91. The one moment in any Godzilla movie that I can't honestly defend. People look at me and I just kind of shrug when the guy goes, "Take that, you dinosaur."
I'm just like, what am I going to do? I didn't make it. You ever feel that way where it's like, as a Godzilla fan, and something really dumb happens in one of the movies, and you feel the need to apologize, but it's like, I didn't make it. What the fuck? Why am I apologizing?
When you're watching them with someone who's not familiar with the franchise, and one of those dumb things happens, it always happens the same way. Something stupid will happen on screen, and then they look at you as if you're supposed to...
Yeah, they're sort of like, you like this shit? This is terrible.
My response would simply be, yes.
As if to...
Yeah, well, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, yeah.
They look at you as if to say, explain. And I'm like, Japan.
You know, it's a pan in the bin, is in the hui and the hay.
Yeah. All right. Well, David, I know you have to get going in a few minutes anyway. So why don't we wrap up on this topic? I'm sort of glad that we spent so much time on this because I'm sure a lot of people were wondering what our thoughts were on all this business going on with Godzilla.
Do we know Do we know whether or not Shin Godzilla is going to be a solo film or a versus film?
Ooh, that's not confirmed so far.
Yeah. No, my thought would be they're probably going to do something like 2000, where it'll be Godzilla's, or even a lot of the Millennium films, where Godzilla solely takes up most of the story for the first 45 minutes, and then another monster is introduced or has a subplot that then makes it more important.
Well,
and honestly, that's the way I like it, because Godzilla's the reason I fucking watch these things. So.
If they do that, then they can just go with a versus title for the international release.
Yeah, that's true. They've also got a lot of monsters sort of in sort of stores that they can pull out that they've never done before. They could pull out fucking
Godzilla versus Mamagon.
Yeah, they could pull out Mamagon. They could pull out fucking what's the homework one's name?
I don't remember. No, that's the mom. That's the strict mother monster.
Shukra.
Fuck,
Shukra, wasn't it? It was Shukra.
Yeah, that's it. Shukra. That's it. That's definitely it. Yeah, they could pull out those motherfuckers. The homework monster and the monster of overprotective mothers. people will pay in a second to see that shit.
No,
I want to see Gigan.
No, this could be brilliant. You have the mother monster. She gets really offended over Godzilla's actions, and she's kind of like the representation of the.
You're a bad influence on children, Godzilla.
And she's gonna try to attempt to physically protest Godzilla.
She's gonna start a Facebook page that is concerned mothers for the
the 1 million mothers thing.
MAG, Mothers Against Godzilla.
Mag! No.
Actually, I think
those sweaters are like their uniforms, like those sweaters that girl was wearing in Godzilla vs. Gigan.
Or it's Feminists Against Godzilla, which spells...
They all smoke cigarettes. Brilliant, man. That'd be fucking brilliant. Why don't they do that, man? Toho, why don't you do that? Take our shit and put it in the movie.
You have nannies against Godzilla. Nag.
Of course, Feminists Against Godzilla are closely linked with Guys Against Yongary.
Oh my god. That's the funniest thing you've said in a long time, Dylan.
You made Andres choke.
I don't think we're going to be able to top that. Alright, so why don't we close off on Shin Godzilla, and we'll move on to the last couple of things that are going to round out this premiere episode of the brand newly designed Sons of Serizawa podcast. So, didn't get to say this earlier, but we basically have two major sections that the podcast are broken down into now. The general news update has been changed to, as of course we said earlier, shit you may or may not care about with Andres Perez, which is of course the opener for our show now, which is all the news. And then we're going to transition into some more random conversation.
The second half of the show is pretty much what we did before.
Yeah, pretty much what we've always done.
When you really break it down, this new structure is just the way it already was, only in reverse.
Yeah, pretty much, except that I asked you guys to sort of bring a couple of sort of loose conversation topics that we can do, so that way we weren't like, so what do you guys want to talk about after the news? So, Dylan, I know you've got something that we probably won't get much mileage out of, but we can definitely knock out like 15 minutes on. So why don't we open with that, and then I have something that we can close off on.
All right. Well, I am super stoked because, of course, as people know, earlier this year, Shout Factory released Kyoryu Sentai's Jew Ranger on DVD, which is the first time a Super Sentai has gotten an official American DVD release. And the hopes were that if sales were good, that they could then begin releasing more, starting, of course, with the next series, which is Ranger. And
we're just going to do that whenever you say one of the names of one of the Sentais. We're just going to sing the theme song.
Bill surprisingly knows one of the theme songs for Sentai?
I know a bunch of them. Kaku Ranger! I know all that shit. Yeah, all that shit. I know all that.
I'm going to challenge you, Bill. Do you know the theme for Jetman?
I do.
No,
I've been watching.
Bill only knows the ones that Saban adapted.
Yes, I do actually.
I've actually been watching Jetman, so I do. Anyway.
Nobody cares about your opinion.
Fuck you. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, this is obviously old news, but it happened while we were on break. Die Ranger, the DVD, it's coming out November the 10th. Already got it pre-ordered. It's going to be coming in the mail. I'm going to be coming soon thereafter. So.
The cover art good?
What?
How's the cover art?
It's kind of disappointing, personally.
It's the same format as the one that they did for Jew Ranger.
Yeah, where it's like...
Which was always weird that they didn't put the costumes in the cover.
I'm assuming that the reason why they did that is because, like, they wanted to let people know, hey, this isn't Power Rangers. Technically, this is a different thing. And if they saw...
Power Rangers is on the cover.
One of the first things I noticed in Jew Ranger, a lot of stuff happens when they're not even morphed in that show. Like, lots of action scenes just happen in...
Oh, yeah.
Although, I guess the cover was still appealing because they still had brightly colored costumes.
Well, yeah, their costumes match their costumes.
But the Die Rangers cover art doesn't work as well because they just wear normal clothing. I mean, you can see in the link that Dylan
They're all bicyclists. They just ride around on bikes all day. That's all they do. They just ride around on bikes and they molest each other, and that's all I know about Die Ranger.
I hope that eventually. I mean, I want them to release more of these Sentai that were adapted by.
Oh, that was my next question. Was if they were going to put before Power Rangers on there, because this has so little to do with Power Rangers, this show. So
yeah, this is going to be like outside the
really
White
hope
Ranger.
I really hope that eventually they also branch out and start releasing some pre-Saban Sentai. You know, like Jetman. I would love to have a DVD of Jetman.
It's going to say way before Power Rangers. There
way back in the day.
Fucking gigantic one for fucking Go Ringer, because that one's got like
before Saban fucked it up.
Imagine.
Wait, hang on.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask this question because it'll take a second to answer. They're not going to be able to say before Power Rangers anymore though, because Die Ranger came out the year Power Rangers came out, didn't it?
Let's see. I know. Wait, Jew Ranger was 92.
If you read the title, it says before Power Rangers there was Super Sentai. That technically is true.
Oh, okay, fine, fair enough.
And
they're talking about that. Technically, that is true.
You got me. Got him.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm looking at it. Die Ranger came out February 19th, 1993. When did Power Rangers came out? Season 1.
93. So it's the same year as what I was
August 28th, 93. So this show still came out before Power Rangers.
All right, fine. I'm wrong. I'll go in my hole and I'll cry myself to sleep like I do every night. But I just wanted to point out that they're going to get to a fucking point where they can't say that shit no more. Cocker Ranger, I don't want to see none of that shit. I want to see during Power Rangers there was Super Sentai Cocker Ranger.
Well, technically the shows were broadcast before Power Rangers.
He's right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Oh, well, the general... What are you talking about?
They were aired before their corresponding Power Rangers seasons.
Well, no, but... fine,
I think Bill just meant, like, before Power Rangers in general.
Before Power Rangers existed as a franchise...
Super Sentai existed as a franchise, yes.
Yeah, I know, but Cocker Ranger did not, though.
And for a while, the first two weren't counted as Super Sentai, but now they are. It's very confusing. The point is...
It's maddening. It's maddening.
I'm really surprised to see.
Ultimately, none of this shit matters.
I can't wait to see how people who are not unaware of Die Ranger's storyline are going to react to when they see that the White Ranger that they've loved for so long was originally a little boy in the Japanese incarnation.
that disappointed me at first. I hate that character. I hate the little kid. He's annoying.
He's a massive douchehole. So
and we thought Turbo Ranger doing that was stupid.
Well, I always, as I said.
I mean, not Turbo Ranger. Power Rangers Turbo. Those are two separate things.
Turbo Ranger is the one where they go turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget which one Turbo Ranger is. Isn't it called Turbo Man? Not Turbo Ranger?
That Schwarzenegger movie.
Turbo Man is that Schwarzenegger superhero from Jingle All the Way.
Wait.
He's Turbo Time.
I just realized that too.
And his pet tiger Boomer.
When you said Turbo Man,
before Power Rangers. During Power Rangers, there was Turbo Man.
When you said there was a Schwarzenegger movie called Turbo Man, I was like, there's a Schwarzenegger movie.
Matter of fact, even fights.
It took me like a solid 20 seconds to in my head go, oh, right, that Turbo Man.
Matter of fact, Turbo Man fights some henchmen that look like Power Rangers. Like, they're clearly Power Rangers knockoffs.
Funny enough, in the Japanese version of Turbo Man, a little boy turns into Arnold Schwarzenegger when he warps.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
It's Turbo time!
It's
a little kid doing the Austrian accent.
A tiny Japanese child turns into an Austrian giant.
Go Turbo Man.
Oh, that's probably the funniest thing that's going to happen all night. Okay, so back on track. What were we talking about?
Ranger on DVD.
Ranger.
I'm fucking stoked.
Say Sentai, go say Sentai.
This is a thing that I'm okay with. There we go.
I'm very okay with this.
That's my opinion. This is a thing that I won't kill myself, the fact that it's happening.
Oh, yeah, I guess slightly related to Super Sentai, it was also announced during Comic-Con that there is going to be a Legacy Thunder Megazord, which is, the mech from this that originated from this series. So after releasing releasing the Legacy Megazord, the Legacy Titanus and Dragon Zord and White Tiger Zord, now they're finally moving on to this guy, and eventually there's also a recent announcement that they're going to make the Legacy Falcon Zord. So,
the Mega Falcon Zord?
Yeah, yeah.
To be real, I don't even have to wait on the DVD because the website that I watch Jetman on has added Die Ranger and Kaku Ranger and O Ranger and several others. But
how's the quality on this?
No, not bad.
And are the subtitles? Do the subtitles look like they were made by people who are fluent in English?
Probably not.
Subtitles are fine. Yeah.
There's a couple more.
Are we talking about G-Ranger?
No.
No.
No, the subtitles for G-Ranger were pretty good. There were a couple moments where I was like,
I thought the subtitles were excellent compared to the fucking subtitles Shout Factory did for Ultra 7.
Oh, I haven't seen that, so I can't compare it, but
they're atrocious.
It's better than Mill Creek subtitles, I'll give it that. Those fucking
why do they whoever is in charge of distributing Japanese properties, why do they keep handing their shit to Mill Creek?
Because they're idiots.
Because they're cheaper.
I know Mill Creek produces.
Did you say because they're children?
No, he said cheaper.
They're cheaper.
Oh, I thought you said because they're
children. That's why they fuck it up so bad. This is what happens when children work on subtitles.
They do this really interesting thing in Jetman, because now I have to go on a tirade about Jetman for a second. They do this really interesting thing in Jetman, where how you'll have like an evil army in a Power Ranger season, and it'll have like generals.
No, they're gonna be counterintuitive next time. They're not gonna have an evil army.
Well, anyway, in Jetman, none of the villains who you meet at the beginning of the series are technically the leader of like the evil faction, because they had a leader before who was like lost and it's not really explained at all.
So it's like Mystic Force.
Anyway, yeah, well, none of them are really the leader. And so they have this bet going, and it's really interesting because they have this bet going that whichever one of them kills the Jetmen first will get to be the leader.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like...
That is cool. I like
one of them is a robot. One of them is a robot who likes to drink and smoke and play piano, and he's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's Japanese vendor?
I rewatched
yeah, Japanese vendor with more guns.
I rewatched Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla last night, the original one, and that was my exact thought when I saw the high what's his name? What's that guy's name in Mechagodzilla? Because in Terror it's Mogul. What the fuck is his name? Whatever, it doesn't matter. My reaction to him was, I'm totally okay with the fact that all this is so campy just because he drinks and smokes, and that's amazing. Like, every time that guy is on screen, he is either drinking or smoking or killing somebody. And it's just awesome. He is like the greatest villain the Godzilla franchise has ever had. So, kids, if you're writing something and you have a villain in it, have him drinking and smoking or killing somebody in every scene. And
everyone will be happy.
Everybody will be happy. It's great. So yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Do you guys? How did Jew Ranger sell?
Obviously, well enough to warrant another DVD. Yeah.
Well, I'm almost wondering if, because it might have bombed, and they're just going, well, we should keep doing it just because it's sort of there's an audience for this that's not enormous, but it's good enough where we can keep doing it. Because to me it comes off as a passion project where they're doing it because
They want to?
Yeah, well, because Shout Factory's been trying to do this for a long time, so that's how it comes off to me anyway. That even if it's not successful, they're going to keep doing it because they make enough money where it sort of outweighs the cost, and they're just going to keep doing it because they're passionate about it. So I need to finish watching Zyuranger, by the way. It's been a little bit now, and I'm not binge watching anything right now, so I should.
You should probably do that before Die Ranger comes out.
He's just gonna do the same with Die Ranger.
Oh yeah, I'll buy that thing. I'll be so excited. I'll watch the first 5 episodes and go, I'm gonna go have some sex now. I didn't say that. Why would I ever say that?
You just have Bill, someone saying, "Witness this."
Witness me. Mediocre. We need to stop talking about Mad Max. Maybe we should talk more about Mad Max, guys. I like Mad Max.
Mad Max is pretty fucking cool.
Anybody here have the game?
No.
Is that why you bought the game, because of the movie?
Well, I watched all of the movies, and I was like, I like this guy. I bought the game. Yeah, is that okay? David, is that okay with you?
Oh, you saw the movie
Anybody have
now?
the game? And Trace is like, no.
David, what are you asking me? I'm confused.
Okay, well, right now I'm asking, you saw the movies this year? All of them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I binge watched all of them, yeah.
No, for the first time you saw them this year.
Oh, yeah, I had never seen any of the Mad Max movies in full prior to this. I had seen bits and pieces. I mean, I saw like a little... My parents are huge Mad Max fans, at least of the first 2. So, I've seen bits and pieces of 1 and 2, of Road Warrior and 79.
Well, I can't be surprised, because I still haven't seen the first Ghostbusters movie.
What?
Oh.
Yeah?
Okay, hang on for a second now.
I told you this before, Bill.
I think I just...
Yeah, but I'm sure you told him like years ago.
Years ago, meaning... a year ago.
Dave, I want you to listen to me. Okay, there are 2 weeks between now and the next SOS. You have homework now. Go watch fucking Ghostbusters.
Well, I torrented the movie and it's on my PS3 now, but
right,
I never got around to it.
Well,
watch it, and then we'll review Ghostbusters on the next episode of SOS.
Right?
Watch it. All right, 'tis the season. You know.
We're forcing you to watch a good comedy. Shut up, man.
Yeah, word. How have you never seen Ghostbusters? Are you a human being? Were you born on this planet in this time? Are you a Time Lord? Like, what? No. The Time Lords have probably seen Ghostbusters. They probably sat down and said, we should probably watch Ghostbusters. How did this happen?
Have you not seen Mad Max 1, 2, 3 before 2015?
I have!
Before 2015?
Bill went all like Christian Bale on him because they hadn't seen Ghostbusters.
No!
Through professionally.
It's fucking unprofessional. You can't be saying I don't watch Ghostbusters and go la-di-da-di-da. We're done professionally, you and me.
One of our fans is going to do like a parody video. One of our fans is going to do a parody video of me like yelling at David and like they're like, oh, he's such an asshole because he yelled at David for not seeing Ghostbusters. I'm going to call them. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry.
They're probably going to have Bill wearing the Immortan Joe mask.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll call him Immortan Bill.
Oh, yes,
Bill,
I'm totally cool with that.
Bill just reacted.
Somebody wants to draw me as Immortan Joe, do it.
I really
Bill
wish
just
we had
reacted
more.
to Dave the way that we reacted to Bill back when he thought Ultraman was a robot. Like, that was...
Oh, yeah. I totally deserve that, by the way. And David, you totally deserve any and all shit you got now and what you may get in the future for not seeing Ghostbusters. Fans persecute David for not seeing Ghostbusters.
Fuck you.
Yes, blast him for being different than us.
Yeah, exactly. How dare you?
Look at him. Look at him and laugh.
You helped.
We're gonna put you on the front of a car and drive you around and suck the blood out of you.
You're just gonna call your little car a war rig and put me on the hood of your car.
Oh yeah, it's the Interceptor. I don't like the war rig that much. I'm more of an Interceptor.
Let us do to David what we did to the ostriches.
By the way, can I just go on a brief? We're kind of done with the Die Ranger thing. So if I'm gonna go on a brief Mad Max style rant here, why can't we fucking just see the Interceptor be badass on a Mad Max thing anymore? How come every Mad Max thing that comes out, he has to fucking lose that car? It's driving me crazy.
Driving.
Just get it? I totally did that on purpose. Here's what I mean. All right, Road Warrior. He's got that car for half the movie, and he gets it taken away from him like he does in every fucking thing. Max has to lose his vehicle. It's part of the fucking thing. Anyway, so in Road Warrior, though, it gets blown to smithereens. Spoilers for the Road Warrior. And then in Thunderdome, he's on a fucking car, he's on a truck and it's being pulled by camels. It's terrible. Don't worry about it. Don't watch it. It's terrible. Fury Road, he's got the Interceptor back. Who knows how? It doesn't matter. It's Mad Max. Who cares? And he's driving it around, whatever. And then it gets fucking beaten to shit. The War Boys take it. And then there's like a glimmer of hope when he's on the hood of the car and he's getting driven around the War Rig and they're fighting Furiosa. And there's like a glimmer of hope, like, okay, Max is going to reclaim that car. It's going to be amazing when he gets the car back. And there's a moment where you think it's going to happen where he's standing on the front of the War Rig and it looks like he's about to jump onto the Interceptor. And then the Interceptor gets destroyed in the most brutal, hardcore, sad way possible. It gets sandwiched between 3 trucks and blown to pieces. And it's like George Miller going, yeah, you're never going to see that car again. And I was just like, fuck you. Because that car is the tits. Like, that car is the coolest fucking thing ever put on film. It is like the star of the original Mad Max. Even more so than Max, more so than Goose, more so than Toe Cutter. That is the star of that movie. Like, they play that car up big time. It's got its own scene devoted to it, where they introduce it.
When we're going for a ride.
Exactly. So, how come I can't fucking get a Mad Max thing where he's got that car for at least enough where we get a good action sequence out of it? Now, let me go to my next point. Let's talk about the video game for a second. Spoilers for the video game. It's unclear where it takes place because clearly it's clearly in continuity with Fury Road because Immortan Joe and Furiosa are referenced in the backstories that they give you for all the different characters. And so it's clearly in that continuity.
Does Mad Max himself look like he's based off of Tom Hardy's likeness?
No, he looks more like Mel Gibson.
That would be interesting if you had like a Mel Gibson skin and then, or you had a Tom Hardy skin.
Well, yeah, because you can change Max's appearance, and I haven't played around with that. I haven't played around with that too much because I don't really care. I like him the way he looks now. He looks like Mad Max, so I'm cool with that. But no, I don't think you can change him to look like those actors. But he looks like kind of a mix. In profile, I think he looks more like Mel Gibson. But I think from like the front, if you look at his face, he looks a little bit more like Tom Hardy. And performance-wise, the guy who's playing him is definitely playing him more like Tom Hardy than he is. Than he is Mel Gibson. But it's kind of a mix. It's its own thing. But it seems to be in continuity with Fury Road. And it's unclear whether or not it takes place before or after. My theory right now is that it takes place after. Because the whole plot of the game is that Max is trying to cross the plains of silence. The plains of silence. And apparently he's trying to find peace within his mind. And that's how he's going to do it. He's going to cross the plains of silence in his Interceptor. But that's the thing. At the beginning, he's got the Interceptor back. So you think, oh, I guess this takes place before Fury Road. But the thing is, in Fury Road, they mention the Plains of Silence. And it seems to me, yeah, there's a moment where it's right after they meet up with what are the names? The Many Mothers? Are those the clan that Furiosa comes from?
That's one alias, but go on. Okay.
In that sequence where they're talking about it, one of the Many Mothers is talking to one of the brides of Immortan Joe about the sort of the surroundings and everything. And she points out to this bunch of dunes and goes, oh yeah, over there, those are the Plains of Silence. And in the foreground, you see Max just sort of listening and doing something else, and you kind of see his head perk. So clearly, to me anyway, that indicates that the game takes place after, and Max hears about those from them and now is trying to cross them after the events of Fury Road, which is what makes the most sense to me. Then, of course, he's trying to do it. He gets into a fight with a bunch of war boys, and they take his Interceptor again. And they take all his shit, and they strip him down, kind of like they did in Fury Road, and then he's off trying to survive again without the Interceptor. I know how the game ends, so I know the ultimate fate of the Interceptor, but I won't spoil that here, so because I haven't even yet. So
I was gonna say spoil it. No one gives a fuck.
All right. Fine. If you care, you haven't beaten Mad Max yet, which basically this is just for me because I haven't beaten Mad Max yet. I just know this. You get the Interceptor back and you can drive it around, which is awesome. Because that's like the only reason I fucking bought the game was so that I can drive the Interceptor.
You're like, fine, no way.
And I was so pissed because the prologue of the game where he's driving it and he's fighting off the war boys is a cutscene. And I'm like, why didn't they make this playable? Why couldn't you fight them off and then have the cutscene happen? Like, this is infuriating. I went on a bloody Fury Road, man, trying to fucking... After I found out that I couldn't drive the Interceptor right away. So anyway...
So far, has the game been good from what you have played?
Oh, it's fantastic. It is the quintessential... It's sort of like...
You're happy skipping out on Godzilla for PS4.
Oh yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
He's trading up. He's trading up.
Well, I'm gonna get it soon, and I'll do a video on it. Don't you worry, everybody. I'll endure the pain with everybody else. But it's great. It's sort of like, you know, when you play Fallout, it's sort of like you're playing Mad Max but in the 1950s, and
right, because like civilization has kind of regressed or kind of rebooted and kind of progressed to that point.
Exactly, but also it's also like, you know, if anybody who worked on Fallout will tell you, yeah, we totally ripped off Mad Max.
I mean, everybody. So, I mean, at this point, everybody has ripped off Mad Max at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a primal sort of simplistic idea that it's almost designed to be stolen and remolded into different things.
Yeah, kind of like Star Wars or Indiana Jones.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you ask George Miller that, he'll tell you, yeah, it's sort of designed to be sort of such a simple, primal, basic plot and sort of idea that anybody could do it. I mean, Mel Gibson once said that Max is just Jesus Christ in black leather. It's just the story of Christ, but in the post-apocalypse. And I'm like, I don't know if I totally agree with that, but all right, fair enough.
And then the Lord whipped out his fucking shotgun.
As he was ready to exterminate all the Jews.
Yeah, see? That's the thing now, is that Mel Gibson is like, he said that, and it's like, well, you know.
Verily he saith unto them, it's payback time, bitches.
And he just calls everyone sugar tits.
Yeah, exactly. He's going around calling Furiosa and the Bride sugar tits. You stay, sugar tits.
And he's like, no, we don't want to. And he's like, what? What? You are here for two reasons. You were here to do two things.
Oh, I thought that was David as Mad Max for a second.
It actually gives us some interesting insight into the mind of Mel Brooks. Not Mel Brooks, Mel Gibson. Because now we know that when Mel Gibson reads the Bible, he pictures Jesus as Mad Max.
I would do that if I reread the Bible, which I wouldn't. Because I got better things to do.
That would make Matt a lot more entertaining.
By the way, that's not a religious slam. I do actually have things to do that I don't have time to read the Bible, so if you do that, that's cool.
You'd rather read non-fiction.
Anyway, so point of the rant. Let me just fucking see the Interceptor for more than 2 seconds, because that car is amazing and I want it badly. And I want that car so badly that I looked up if I could get one, because of how fucking cool it is. And of course you can. It's an Australian exclusive car. There's a version of it in America that's bullshit, because it looks nothing like that. So I would have to do some major customization if I was actually going to be seriously try and build my own Interceptor. So it'll have to wait for, you know, my fantasy world where I'm rich and famous and I can build my own Interceptor. But,
right. That's like my plans if I'm ever like rich to build a Batmobile.
Yeah. Well, but you could buy, but those exist though. You could. I mean, I'm sure if I called, there are like Hollywood car guys who just build Hollywood cars for a living. Like if you call them and you go, I want this car from a TV show or movie, they'll do it, and they can do it pretty.
I want the 60s.
Give me I want the 89 Batmobile.
60s Batmobile. The Batmobiles are all pretty easy because those are all pretty much like those are common things that people want.
Yeah.
And now actually, I'm sure after Fury Road, I'm sure the Interceptor is probably gonna go up in value and go up in popularity in terms of stuff that people want.
Yeah.
But you know they've done the DeLorean and fucking. I saw the Doctor's car from the John Pertwee era, the Betsy, golden car. You know, I've seen all kinds of shit.
The Munsters car.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hearse, right?
No. It's the one like it's weird to describe. It's a very old-fashioned car.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's like the buggy looking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and think of the most like specific reference for a car. The car.
G1 Optimus car or
truck. The car that Shaggy drove in Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf.
That was colored red, right?
I don't fucking remember.
I think it was red.
Do you guys remember that weird period of Scooby-Doo where it was Scooby, Scrappy, and Shaggy? Shaggy had on a red shirt and he was driving around a pickup truck.
Yeah, those were like the like the little Scooby movie sort of things, like Scooby. Yeah, that's what. And the Ghoul Brothers, or the Ghoul Brothers. Yeah, and then Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
This was during the Reluctant Werewolf period.
Yeah, okay.
Like the TV show had ended, so they were just making these movies.
I love that period of Scooby-Doo. Like that's sort of like my Scooby-Doo when I think about it. That's what I was introduced to.
I love how it's like we're gonna make a movie about Shaggy getting turned into a werewolf, and then at some point in the movie it's like, fuck it, we're gonna turn this into a wacky races with monsters.
That's weird, right? That like they fucking did that. Like, it's also like, what is a reluctant werewolf? Like most werewolves in fiction are reluctant to be werewolves. So why point that out because it's Shaggy? Like, of course he doesn't want to be a werewolf.
He's not one of those asshole werewolves who's like, I fucking love this shit.
All right, David, no problem. You stood for the whole. You were here for the whole time, so because we're about to wrap up anyway. So, you can go ahead. You go ahead and go. We'll wrap up, okay?
All right. So wait. So go now.
Yeah, you can go ahead. And go.
I feel like I'm asking one of my managers. Oh, so I can punch out now, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just get out of here.
You'll still get paid the same amount.
Run, Dave. Run away and never return.
Thanks for sticking around for the whole runtime, man. I appreciate it. I know you stayed a little late.
Run.
All right.
Night, bro. Okay, so now that he's gone, we can fucking talk shit about him. No.
Now that he's gone, we can get undressed. No,
The pants come off.
For this moment,
all right.
Your clothes.
All right. So boys, I actually think that's gonna do it. We're almost at 2 hours, and that is our new time measurement for when we end these things. So we're gonna start to wrap things up. So that was my little Mad Max rant. So let's wrap things up, boys. Do either of you guys have anything to announce?
Let's see. Yeah, so I guess I've uploaded quite a few things since we went on hiatus. The biggest thing, of course, was our collaborative review, where all three of us discussed at great length the recently released Volume 1 of the Ultraman manga. Very great review, great book. I highly recommend you check it.
AKA Ultraman Beyond.
Ultraman Beyond, yeah. If you ever want to get into Ultraman, or you are interested in Ultraman, but you're not sure whether or not you want to check out the manga, definitely check our review. I've also since released my review for Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth, and coming soon I will be having my review for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Along with, let's see, what else I'm finally getting my video of my top 15 favorite giant robots in fiction, finally getting that into production.
You've been fucking working on that for like a year, bro.
God. I remember when I suggested that to him, Bill. It was so long ago. I couldn't drink yet.
I swear to God, I think it was a year ago. I swear to God, I'm pretty sure it was a year ago.
And
I remember this.
I have to make a big shout out to Andrew Pataglia, aka Blue Eyes, or his other channel, Sapphire Night Productions. He's been helping me in terms of the editing, because I know that I want to use because I want this to be like my biggest, most ambitious video. I want to use video clips of the giant robots that I talk about. So I know that something like that would make a project that complex would just make my laptop explode. So I reached out to Andrew because I enjoyed.
I've seen that thing. It looks like it's on the verge of explosion.
It's living on borrowed time at this moment. At this time,
it really is. It really is.
So I have I've followed Andrew's recent reviews. I've been loving his style of editing. I reached out for help. He's like, "Are you interested in doing this?" He's like, "Hell yeah."
Out for help. That sounds so sad.
So I
help him, man! I can't get off these pills.
That's when Andres realized he had made the mistake of asking Jerry Lewis for help.
I'm fucked up. Help me! So I'm like, wham!
Yeah, I hit him in the head with a fucking 2x4.
It's okay. I told him to fucking end it, you lazy bastard.
Andres comes home, his family's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, I got the shit beat out of me by Jerry Lewis with the 2x4s and the badness.
Why are you... I love how he's doing a Jerry Lewis impression while talking about being the shit.
He beat him so hard he turned him Jewish. It was insane.
He knocked the Jewish into him.
He's seen shit that'll turn you white.
Or Jewish.
So yeah, at this moment, the video is roughly about halfway done. So maybe it'll be ready in about the next 2 weeks as of this recording.
All right, cool. Dylan, what do you have to announce?
Well, yes, Andres has been posting a lot of videos in the interim since we've been gone.
I've been doing the exact opposite.
I, on the other hand,
I chose a different path.
I've done nothing.
I, too, have a top something list that I should be working on.
You know, I looked at Andres, and I saw that he was happy and people liked him, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something else. I'm going to be totally the opposite.
I'm just going to laugh at people with types of yeah, I got to fucking get on the ball and finish that Jew Ranger list, and I got to...
So you can do the eventual Die Ranger list.
Yeah, and I got to fucking get back into doing...
I just like to point out, because this will bring the whole thing full circle, that the whole reason you did that list in the first place was because I said that we should review Jew Ranger together on VFOS. And you were sick of waiting for me, so you wanted to talk about it, so you did that series, and now that's on hiatus, in addition to the fact that our review of Jew Ranger is pretty much dead.
Yeah. Anyway.
As dead as Godzilla on sea.
I gotta get back into fucking doing Kaiju Spotlight 2. My life has been insane over the past month or two.
Fucking babies
and then
not actually fucking babies. That's no.
I didn't mean that way. But
yeah,
there were
why
actually
would you even suggest that, Bill? Like, what?
I didn't suggest it.
Like, we're just having a conversation.
Don't you fucking
like, I'm just having a conversation about videos that I should be posting.
Speech pattern suggested that.
And you're just over here talking about, taking babies and giving them the old hot Cosby, and I'm not into that.
I'm not into that. As if he had to fucking make it clear.
Anyway.
Just separate himself from me.
So I'm gonna be working on getting all that out sometime. And also, look out because next month, fucking Resurrection F comes out.
Oh yeah.
And then me and Bill will be reviewing that.
That's a movie I'm gonna watch.
And if there's one thing I can get on the ball for, it's Dragon Ball Z.
We'll probably fall off the ball when that comes out, though, bro.
Yeah, probably.
Probably find some excuse. I got like.
I'm probably not gonna do any of this shit. I'm probably just gonna get some brandy and drink and go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. My toes are weird, so I can't do videos right now. We'll find some excuse. Is that all?
Yeah, man.
All right. I am super nervous about announcing anything right now because I can't be sure of what the fuck I have time to make anymore. I talked about, of course, doing a video where I do 5 things that I read and watched over the summer. I'm working on it. I'm still gonna put it out. It's gonna be retitled now to things that I've done since my hiatus, just to sort of separate it from the season because the season's over. So basically, it's gonna be stuff that watched.
Will a certain comic by a friend of ours be mentioned?
Yes, it's on the list.
Cool.
Yep, that's on there. What else? Everything else I just kind of want to leave in the ether right now. Just sort of do it as I go. Bondapalooza is still going to come in November. I don't have a date for that when it's going to start. I don't know when Spectre is coming out. I want it to be around then. So I think Spectre's November 7th or 8th. So I'll try and keep it around there, but who knows? You guys know me. I fucking fall off these things quickly. So I'll try my best. So I'll look out for that. I'm getting onto a Bond kick right now. I'm leaving Mad Max and I'm approaching Bond. So I think I'm starting to get into the groove of getting ready to start planning out Bondapalooza. And odds are I'm gonna write scripts for these. So it'll be a good time. For all Bond fans and myself included. So, we should have talked about this earlier. Actually, Dylan, did you hear they released the Spectre song?
What?
They released the theme song for Spectre.
Oh, did they?
I haven't listened to the full thing yet. But I meant to bring it up earlier. But I went on that Mad Max rant. That was the topic I had. Yeah. So let's cover this quickly. So, yeah, song's out. I forget the name of the guy who sung it. I listened to 2 seconds of it. It didn't light my roll on fire. It sounds too much like they're trying to recreate the success they had with Skyfall.
Mm-hmm.
But with a dude. It sounds like they're trying to because the thing that a lot of people liked about Adele's song, myself included, was that it was sort of a modern Adele song, but it had all the flavors of a classic Shirley Bassey Bond song. And this is trying to do that, but you know who it's trying to recapture? Tom Jones, Thunderball.
And
it's not as good at it. I haven't heard the full song yet, but the little bit that I listened to, I did not like. So maybe I'll listen to the full thing, and hopefully I'll like it more. I wish I could, like, point out what this name of this... Because it's not called Spectre. It's called something else, and I forget the name of the guy who sings it, but it didn't let my world on fire. Hopefully I'll like it more in the movie, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so... We'll talk about that more next week when we listen to the full song, and we have more information. So, in terms of announcements for me, aside from that, only other thing I'll say, Demons from Outer Space is coming back in a week, so look out for that as well. Dylan, are you excited?
Indeed, yes.
All right, cool. First episode we're gonna do, and I haven't talked to Dylan about this yet, so Dylan, I hope you're cool with this. I figure we just talk about the first 2-part Doctor Who premiere. Talk about the Magician's Apprentice and. What's the night's episode called?
It's called The Witch's Familiar.
The Witch's Familiar. So we'll talk about those two. I figured in the general conversation part of the episode. You think that works?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really not sure how those titles relate to what happened in the episodes, but
I can sort of glean and sort of read into the first one because at one point the people in like ancient. Like England or wherever they are, they call the Doctor a magician.
Yeah.
But the Magician's Apprentice, you know, talking about Clara, because she doesn't really have much to do with the plot of that episode.
Yeah.
I mean, she does a lot, but like the actual conflict of the episode really has nothing to do with her.
Well, they can't be talking about Villain, who I will not name because Andres hasn't seen the episode yet.
Oh, well, no, yeah, definitely not. That's what I was thinking too. And they can't be talking about. Everybody. I mean, everybody knows that they're back, though, right? That's not a spoiler.
Well, everybody knows that person was coming back for season 9, but not necessarily that it was going to be in episode 1.
Okay, true, fair enough. So I guess we actually kind of accidentally spoiled it. Anyway, so we'll talk about that on DFOS this week. May or may not have guests, probably not. I'm thinking because I kind of it's our first time back, so I'm thinking it'd probably be better if it's just you and me. So. But we'll see. We'll talk about that as we get closer and as we're starting to plan it out. So look out for DFOS's return as well. But Dylan, we gotta work out a new title card for that too. Shit, we got a lot of work to do. So anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast, rebooted, relaunched, all that shit. Thank you very much for joining us again as we begin season 3. Of the Sons of Serizawa podcast, of the brand newly designed podcast show. So thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed. Give us some feedback. What did you guys think of this new structure? How do you think it went? Bear in mind that this was the first time we did it, so we had a couple edges to sort of smooth out. But why don't you guys give us your thoughts in the comments, and we'll make adjustments where you think we should, or we'll just ignore them and just continue doing it anyway. So that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Until next time, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar. He
was David Gorazar Hernandez, and I am Super Dame 64.
And this has been Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly the way it's been.
Indeed it has. And as
always... of this episode, that's the way it's been.
That's the way it's been for this 1-2 hour period. And of course, as it's always been, and as it will continue to be, despite changing podcast structures, changing rosters, everything's different. The science is still sound, guys.